Morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good day to everyone. Uh, we're gonna do this a little bit ad hoc today. I sat down here like 5 minutes before it was time to get started, so we're not all there. But let's get started with some news that came out this morning with Tesla deliveries for third quarter. So let's share the screen here, and then we'll get into like there's some Rivian stuff and a bunch of Chinese news and more. And then there's a bunch of stuff that didn't even make it to the note document yet. That'll be fun. So I've got the right thing shared. Let's get into YouTuber Reacts view. There we are. And let's see. Let's pull up the chat. All right. So just in case we have a repeat of last week where the thing decides to stop, what I'll do is I'll just make a new stream, and then I'll probably still kind of splice them together after the fact. But um, we'll see about that. So 10% of the packets today are coming from Starlink because one of the cool things that happened was SpaceX sent me the new high performance dish, and just like the little V2 squishy, first thing it does when I turn it on is it looks up at the sky, finds out what's going on, and it looks right at the neighbor's tree, no matter where you put it in the yard. So that's exactly what this one did as well, and it still gets uh, what do they call it? You'll be expected to be obstructed every minute. In fact, let me pull up the dish view. Expect to be obstructed every minute, but because it's got a wider field of view, the obstructions last like 2 seconds or less most of the time. Most of the time, they don't last like up to 2 minutes, half a minute, or whatever, like the last one did sometimes. All right, so let's go to their address. And browser updates and still no switch tabs button. All right. Oh, with the rain from the bands of the hurricane that we're going through right now, it's one obstruction every 49 seconds, and now it's offline. But let's see, what was I looking for here? The visibility. Okay, let's see here. Share this other screen instead. Nope, not that one. You would think it would be the one on top, just like it usually is, but no. This one? No, not that one. Apparently, I've got a couple Starlink windows open. What's up, 010? How are you? Let me get this share screen off, and then I can. Oh, there it is. Share screen, and then there's your chat. Hello. All right, so you can see that the field of view is wider, much wider on the high performance dish than it is on the the V2, because the V2 would have a small portion of this visible area showing. So then up here you can see the building right here is this particular red area. These are some of the neighbor's trees that I can't do anything about. And then this is the tree directly behind the dishes. I've actually got it screwed onto a fence post on the SpaceX long arm mount, and it's actually much better than the last one. The other one was like looked like it had freckles. There was just red everywhere. All right, so let's switch back to this one. Close this one. There we go. All right, so I all I know is this is a new record of course, as it is. Tesla's just continuing to ramp as they do, and we're looking at let's see, 343,830 cars delivered. And because of their situation, they had a lot of cars in transit this quarter. So they actually built 365,923 cars. So let's see, they have 3% of them overall are subject to leases. And on the Model S and X, you had almost 20,000 constructed at 19,935, with 18,672 delivered. They seem to be a little bit better at delivering the expensive ones, aren't they? And then the Model 3 and Y, 345,988, of which 325,158 made it to the streets. Based on the production numbers, who's winning the Tesla Life show bet? I think it's probably going to be David, honestly, because Shanghai came out with their million a year production rate now all of a sudden, and then when you add the other three plants to that, that makes this 2.2 quite possible. I don't know if it'll be 2.2 this year, but I think that makes him one of the contenders. I'll have to get with I don't know who took the notes on it. Did Mark take the notes on that, or did Patrick? Well, either way, one of them knows the numbers we all wrote down, and we'll see who won it. But I am surprised. Like David's seemed like it was just kind of like way up there. I was like, that's probably next year, and it might be this year. All right, so let's see. Let's look at their notes on this. I remember they were saying something about like I skimmed it. Literally, like I said, I came straight down here to the computer. Right, so historically, our delivery volumes have skewed towards the end of the quarter. Yeah, you need to stop that. Elon promised they would, and then like for one quarter, they kind of sort of did, and then they went right back to it. Due to regional batch building of cars, as our production volumes continue to grow, it has become increasingly challenging to secure vehicle transportation capacity and at reasonable cost during these peak logistics weeks. In Q3, we began transitioning to an even more regional mix of vehicle builds each week, which led to an increase in cars in transit at the end of the quarter. These cars have been ordered and will be delivered to customers upon arrival at their destination. So, with the way that the Tesla does their deliveries historically, and all but that one quarter, even including that, they build all their cars for the whole quarter. They're just building them all week, build them, build them, build them. But they have timed it such that the cars that are furthest away are the first ones they build. They get on the ships, they get on the trains, they get on the boats, the trucks, and then they start heading where they need to go. And then they, as the quarter goes on, they keep getting closer and closer to the factories, just bringing it in, bringing it in. What that results in is all the car, well, not every single car, but it's like all of a sudden, if you look at your social media, you see everybody's getting their Tesla on the same last 2 weeks of the quarter. It feels like, but what they're running into now is they've run out of transit. You need the ships, you need the boats, the trains, you need the trucks, and what I think we might start to see now is instead of them getting them ready for the end of the quarter to be arriving, they're going to get them ready for when the truck is arriving back at the factory to get them there, so they can just kind of just roll them out and roll them out. We'll probably still see more of them at the end of the quarter, just because they're still going to want to build the cars that need export first. So like Shanghai is going to be building for Australia and UK and the rest of Europe, and then uh, Berlin is going to be pushing as far as they can in their sphere, and it's really more of a circle. And then the U.S. is the only one that builds S and X, so they're going to make the exports first, and not just the U.S. Fremont is the only one that makes the S and X. So they're going to still continue to build those first, and then kind of bring them in. So the California deliveries are like, oh yeah, come across the street, pick up your car, and the like my car was an August build. It arrived September 20th, 22nd, something like that. And that was with a hurricane, so it actually would have been a little bit sooner. But that one got on a train, then it got on trucks. I don't think they do as much with the trains in the U.S. anymore. Um, it's a logistical challenge, and it'll be interesting to see how they solve that. One of the things they did up front was they bought a trucking company, and so they actually deliver a lot of their own cars. But the way they keep expanding, they keep getting like these 50%, 50%. They're gonna need more people out there. Same way that Elon said, if you start a lithium mine, you'll make bank. If you have a car transportation in business, you'll probably do all right with them as well. But at the same time, with everybody else kind of either maintaining or trending downward, they might be able to just kind of convert some of those existing uh, folks over either when their contracts run out, or if the competitors miss a delivery, like, hey, we have 6 cars to go, you want to bring a truck over, we'll see what happens. Less than 2 weeks of production transit, not bad. Yeah, yeah. That's probably the other thing is they rush it, like bam. Yes. That was in 2018, so pardon me. All right, let's see. Da, 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 da. Tesla will post its financial results for the third quarter 2022 after market close on Wednesday, October 19th at 2022. Somebody had said 29 and they corrected themselves. Tesla will issue a brief advisory containing a link to the Q3 2022 update, which will be available on Tesla's investor relations website. Management will hold a live question and answer webcast that day at 4:30 Central, 5:30 Eastern, and to discuss the company's financial and business results and outlook. All right, so let's see what day of the week that is. It's a Wednesday. They tend to do them on Wednesdays, and at 5:30 we might still, depending on if Elon runs long, we might still be in it. When the Tesla Live show airs. So what will probably happen in that case is uh, Patrick will either be on and just listening to the call, or he'll just come on after the call is finished and he's got his notes together while Mark and I jump into the show. We listen until it's time to start the show because you get all sorts of little tidbits from all the questions and answers, and then kind of shows you where they're thinking when they put the presentation together. Like, here's what's going on, and kind of tells you where their head's at. And that was pretty cool. All right, so let me pull up the notes, and then we'll talk about AI Day a little bit. What did you guys think about that? That's not in the note. Well, I guess it is in the notes, isn't it? Let me pull up the phone, tell it to refresh what it's got, and then we'll do this. I don't want to take a picture. Yeah, let's take a picture of each other. Everybody take a picture of me. No, I want the notes, please. And I need you to go back and synchronize. There you go. Then I need you to also synchronize. It's in the menu up here on this one. Sync all notebooks is fine. All right, so one thing I'm seeing is a lot of bad faith arguments and clips, and it's like we sometimes see in, like we always see in politics lately, where stuff is being taken out of context. So there were a number of things presented at AI Day. They started with the Tesla bot, then they went on to the uh, full self-driving, and then they went on after that to I'm sorry, there's a message in the family group distracted me. They went on to uh, talk about Dojo, and then there was a long question and answer session, and Elon kept saying, "All right, last question, last question," and then they kept answering more questions. That was kind of cool. Uh, so let's start with the bot, and let's do this. Let's go to, let me pull up some pictures from a non-mainstream source, just because a lot of them got it wrong. But we knew this would happen because it was all quite technical, and they aren't very good at dealing with technical. All right, so that one is before the announcement. I want after that. Oh, that's a cool little bit right there. I'll save that for next. Um, Basically getting you guys some photos. There we go. There we go. Much better. We'll put this on the screen for you. They were the first ones in search. There were a number of good ones, but this was the first one in search. So shortly before the event, they animated this photo, and it was the fingers doing their thing. But where the bad faith came in was, the first thing that happened was Tesla had one of the developer robots uh, walk onto the stage. They had some doors open up, and then it walked onto the stage. Doors closed up, and it was like a walking back towards where it came from, and there was like it was a video wall. And I had joked. I said, "Well, I wonder what happens. Does the bot have radar? Will it know that that's a video wall and not a tunnel it can walk down?" Um, in the middle of it, they had a sequence where it probably pre-programmed where it waved to the crowd, did a bow, and then it went back. Then Tesla brought up one of their beta models. This one worked in the factory and basically moved stuff from one box to another box, and actually works in Fremont. But because its station doesn't require it to move, it doesn't. They didn't add the programming for it to move. Um, the one that walked on stage had been walking for quite a while, but this was the first night that they walked it without a tether. So like literally right before the show, they stood up, unplugged it, and said go, and hoped it didn't fall down, which was um, quite. I wouldn't have done it that way personally, but I guess it shows it's more real. If it walks out and trips, then it's like, oh well, we're almost there. Especially if it tripped and then got up. But so the next one that came out couldn't walk, so it was helped out by 3 Tesla employees. And so what you're seeing in a lot of the social media is the picture of this one that's neither of them is really done because the first one's a developer robot, but the second one was kind of like the beta cars that the Tesla does, where they're there. This is what we're doing. We're almost ready, and so everybody's clipping out the video of that bot being hauled to the stage and saying, "See, look, they brought this thing out. It can't even walk. It took them a year, and they can't even walk, or whatever." Just a lot of just disingenuous, snarky people. Then the other take that we're seeing is like, oh, it took them uh, all this time to do something that Boston Dynamics has already done forever. But the thing to remember with this is it took them 6 months from deciding they were going to do the bot to it walking. We looked at the Boston Dynamics dog; that thing would fall over all the time. And then when we're not talking the spot that they sell now for about 70 grand, they were talking like the gas powered monster would fall over, and then they had the set of legs on a pole like a weird like the who was the bad kid Sid on Toy Story, like just the legs walking around on like a merry-go-round. And then then even that would fall, and then they had the robot first couple versions of robots, and they would fall all the time. And so to get from nothing to this in 6 months, yes, it is something that's been shown before. If you're looking at just the ability for bipedal motion, yes, that's been done. And what's cool is it only took them 6 months, but that's not all they were doing. They like what you'll see on the developer robot. Let's see. Okay, so this is the one I was talking about where they animated the hands from the photo. This is this the current one or the last one? That's all you got for photos, buddy? Oh boy, let me find another one. Sorry. I got carswithcords.net. I bet you Patrick's already got a write up on it. I'll do that next. Let's do pictures, I guess. I don't like any of these options I'm getting. Let's go to go to a site and look it up. Is this the one? No, this site decided to do a bunch of write-ups. I mean, there was a lot there. It was 3 hour presentation. We started at 9:30 and it didn't end until after midnight. Uh, okay, yeah, here we go. Here's some photos. Go here instead. Still not all the photos I wanted to show. So here is, I guess this is a sim of the robot walking because this is the beta model. That's got everything kind of nicely laid out. Uh, Here they demonstrate that they already have expertise in what they need to make a robot because they already make 3,000 pound robots, 3,000 to 5,000 pound robots, well 3,000 to 6,000 pound robots, and so now they're just making them stand up. Uh, they talked about why they went with 5 fingers, and tendons instead of direct drive. This is the current one. That one that I showed you on the other site, that was the original, the one where they showed us the person in the suit. And this one doesn't show it either. But anyway, on the DevBot, I could clearly see the same autopilot computer that's in my truck in on the chest of the robot. And I say mine because on the Model S and Model X it's air cooled, and on the bot it had two fans. It didn't have the heat pump situation going on, which was kind of neat to see. These things are going to cost about 20,000 in today's dollars, so we'll see where they end up. And Optimus will be Wi-Fi and LTE capable. Yeah, it's like literally just shoving all the compute from the car into a new frame. It's got all 8 cameras and everything. But moving on from that, they went into some deep details on how full self-driving works, how it thinks, and how they train it. And then they went from there into 010 says the hard part is perception and planning, not making a bot or a car. Exactly, exactly. And so they went into how much data they process, and people seem to have glazed over that. We're talking petabytes, and they just handle it. And it wasn't easy. Even they were having trouble, like when they started to teach Dojo to do its job, because they, at the end they went over Dojo. Um, and Dojo is still not their primary environment. It's still something that's just available to the engineers if they want it, but they still use the GPU clusters. But they went through how they managed to take their timelines down from a month to 2 weeks, and I should have chose different words there. And they went over how like the car is learning from all the clips that it's capturing from us. Um, this month before my data tracker turned off, my car had done about 40 gigabytes to Tesla, and that was over just like 8 drives. It wasn't bad. And at some point, Elon mentioned that there will be full self-driving to the masses, beta to the masses soon. We've started to see that happen. What we're seeing is folks that push the button, then they do the qualifying drives, and if they have a high enough score, the system is just pushing them the update at the when they qualify it, rather than them waiting for these batches like they used to do manually every. I was gonna say every few months, but it wasn't really that, because when you look at before they turned on the automated system, there were people in line for over a year. So, but to have that kind of confidence that they can just turn it on as people qualify is another step. All right, so let's see where. Yeah, so be ready for worldwide at the end of the year is what he said in a tweet here. We'll see. We are talking Elon time, so what I expect to see is it'll be um, probably in North America. I don't even want to say North America. In US and Canada by the Christmas update. But I bet you that they're being instructed that they need to have it ready to go worldwide by the Christmas update. But we'll see if that actually happens, or not actually happens, but when it actually happens, I should say. All right, so let's see. Anything that these people pointed out? They saw the Dojo supercomputer. So we knew that folks wouldn't understand it, and what we're probably going to see tomorrow is the Tesla stock is going to take a pretty big hit, just like they did last time, because it's not something that applies for in the next 3 months. A lot of people with big brain opinions that don't actually see a big picture, they're gonna look out and say, "Oh, this is a distraction from selling cars," as if they only made cars. And then there's gonna be like all these snarky people talking about, oh, how Boston Dynamics has already done it, or hey, Honda did that 30 years ago. Uh, yeah, it's almost been 30 years, hasn't it? And what has Honda done with their robot? Like they retired Osmo, didn't they? Boston Dynamics, they don't, they've got a robot that looks like a bird that can load and unload packages from a container, and then they've got the robot dog. I don't see them monetizing their humanoid robots yet. So the other part of that is just because somebody else is doing it doesn't mean that nobody else should do it. If only Ford made cars, or mass-produced cars, I should say, where would we be today? But there's nothing wrong with a little bit of competition. That's what I'm getting at there. And the other part of it that they keep missing is there's nothing like the FSD AI program behind these other bots. I mean, it's not to say you couldn't plug that into them, but nobody else has. So there is a unique angle to it. And the other part to remember is while this was all shown to the public, it wasn't a sales pitch. It was a recruiting event. They were looking for more engineers to help with the robot, help with the AI, help with FSD, help with the supercomputer. That was their goal, was to get new employees. And then the rest of it was kind of, razzle dazzle. Not in a bad way. It's like, hey, while we're showing these nerds what's going on, you can kind of imagine how it will fit into your life. You can perceive what your car is doing when it decides to make a left out into traffic. Why is it doing this? Like, but beyond what you see on the screen, like they gave us some thoughts, some ideas into the thoughts of how the car is functioning, which was pretty cool. They got rid of my counter on here. I don't like that. All right, so let's see. Close that one. And that's like one I showed. Yep. All right, let's move on to something I just saw this morning. I'm looking for the bot. The EPA has doubled the electric school bus funding to almost 1 billion after overwhelming initial demand. Like I keep saying, electrify all the things and keep combustion products away from the children. So I've looked into these electric buses, and they are expensive. But like all EVs, they have the potential to last longer. They require less maintenance, and of course, there's no local emissions. And if you fuel them from renewable sources, there could be zero emissions at the production source as well. So let's see if they have a number on that almost 1 billion. Virginia school districts were able to avoid 447.7 short tons of greenhouse gases from. I think they only have like 20 buses or something like that. It's pretty good. Save 250,000 a year on fuel. Yes, especially this past couple of years where the fuel price has been just ridiculous. And these aren't the only models that they offer. There are, I think, about 5 vendors. So these look like level 2 chargers, which is fine when you consider what they do all day. But no, is that the fuel door, or is it actually okay? It's open toward us. So I said it looks like a CCS handle, but these black pieces open towards the center. But that's definitely a J1772 handle right there. But you don't need to fast charge them unless you're, doing a field trip or something. Let's pull up the old search, look for the dollar sign. All right. Bipartisan infrastructure law provides $5 billion in funding for electric school buses over the next 5 years. In the first round of funding, was supposed to free up 500 million. But with overwhelming demand from all districts of all 50 states, the EPA will now be almost doubling it to 965 million. That is almost $1 billion, $1 billion. The other cool thing with this is not just the states applying for the electric school buses. All the states and Puerto Rico, and I believe also DC, have put their plans for how they're going to roll out the money for the fast chargers, put them out, and they've all been approved. So we should start to see more interstate travel able to be funded. And then later in the show, I've got notes from, I think, Florida's application. And that was actually really cool to see that they, because each state has unique concerns. Like in Florida, they called it how you're going to handle evacuation with EVs. And Alaska is going to have to handle winterization a lot more than, say, California or Texas will. Let's see. Dan says the school bus tracking app my kids district use. They change out the bus numbers almost daily because they break down so often. Yes, the fossil buses, especially the older ones, they're hard to maintain. There's a family that I follow on YouTube that has a tour bus. They converted into a house, and their engine blew out, and it's going to cost them about 30 grand to repair the engine. And they were feeling kind of small about themselves because they were a little bit prideful, thinking that they could fix everything on themselves. And people were asking them, "Well, why didn't you have enough money saved away to fix the engine?" And they're like, "Well, who has a $30,000 savings fund like that when you're just getting started?" And they had a little bit set away, and that seemed reasonable. What they did have set away, but it wasn't 30 grand. All right, let's see. So that's the electric school buses. Let's move on to something else. Oh, that's September. We already talked about September. Let's go to October. All right, so this one was fun. General Motors pulled an Apple and said everybody, an Apple or Tesla, if you want to say, and said everybody needs to come in for reporting to in-person EV development. But then, very shortly after, the backlash hit. And does this one have an update? Uh, and there's a lot of people that seem to think that you can't work, that you aren't working if you're at home, which I think is just a small-minded, stupid, or just quick to jump to conclusions sort of scenario. Just because you went to work every day, I mean, you can have people goofing off all day at work at the building as well. I've seen it, and and on top of the goofing off, then you've got all the trips to the water cooler and the bathroom, socializing, lunch. So if somebody's a lazy worker, they're gonna be a lazy worker in either place. But uh, I don't know. The one that prevails for me is the middle managers that think that if they don't see their people, that their people aren't working, or if they can't like micromanage everybody, that nothing's going to get done. When in fact they're actually probably holding up production. Obviously, you can't do stuff like interface face to face with customers, like if you're like in medicine, or if you're in manufacturing, it's a little hard to. If you are the person who turns the bolts, it's a little hard to do that while you're working from home. Same goes for putting out fires and that sort of thing. Not everything can be remote, but the stuff that can be remote doesn't have to be in person. You save so much on heating, cooling, water. It's just I know that some folks are complete extroverts and they can't work alone at home. That's a choice that you shouldn't be forcing the people. And because of that, a GM later had. Let me see if this is it. Yep. Okay. I was getting frustrated because I found a lot of them on the phone this week, and if they were from Twitter, my phone doesn't tell me what they are, like the computer does. The computer's like, yeah, and this is what they were tweeting about. But the phone is like, here's a link to a tweet. All right, so this is on September 27th, and the article was on so that same day, after saying this garbage and calling their workers lazy, General Motors on Tuesday said it will not mandate workers return to the office before 2023. After it told them on Friday that they would be expected to work 3 days on campus each week later this year. Oh, this is a pipe dream. So Elon ordered everybody back or out, and Mary again leads by announcing back to the office after Musk announces another example of Elon leads Mary again. I'll give you that. It was too many words, but they need to test somebody. Maybe they're betting there won't be anything left to return to in 2023, and they don't have to worry about it. That's also a possibility. I would hope not. UAW that again. Yeah, that's fine. That's what their job is as union is to protect the rights of the workers. Without the railroad union, those folks would still not have sick days and days off. I didn't realize they didn't have sick days in 2022. They didn't have sick days. That's if I couldn't get a sick day, I haven't had to use many of them, but man, the ones I needed badly. Um, let's see, 2005, Elon can't build cars. 2012, Elon can't build rockets. 2022, Elon can't build robots. Yeah, basically. All right, so let's see what Reuters has to say about this. Copy the link, paste it in here. All right, so they said on Friday people would come back to work for 3 days a week, and they told employees working remotely that it does not plan to mandate which days of the week would be collaboration days. In no scenario would our work appropriate evolution begin before Q1 2023. Because I bet they were looking at a massive exodus of people. What happened with my last place? They sent us home for COVID, and what we do doesn't require me to be in person to get the job done. And they still haven't gone back yet, is my understanding. But start talking about how they're calling everybody back. I got a call from a recruiter, and I answered it. And the project I work on now is fully remote. The customer's remote. Everybody's remote. I love it, and it suits my style because I am introverted, or I am introverted. I'm not shy. I'm introverted. If you put me out in public with strangers, I can do that for a little while. Then I got to come back and recharge. Put me out in public with family, I could be out all day long. So anyway, let's see. They said Tuesday their clarification was based on dialogue that took place since Friday. Yeah, massive amount of just upset people. We intend to spend the next few weeks continuing to listen to your feedback so we can incorporate it into our implementation plans. Because one thing you look at with folks working from home is they aren't constantly being interrupted by somebody walking by their cubicle. If I had worked in an office rather than like just massive cube farms, I might look back fondly upon it. But cube farms are just the worst, and that's the kind of work that I do. It's just like, hey, that's all you need is a desk and a computer. Get to it, and then you've got all the noise and all the people buzzing around, and it's like, I might have been one of the people. Like if I'd worked this way for 40 years, okay, maybe, or if I'd had an office. I mean, I've had offices before, but if that was just expected, that they wouldn't just jump you in a bullpen, it might not be so bad. But nah, I don't like cubicles. All right, so enough about all that. Let's go back to the topic at hand. All right, so we talked about General Motors is not forcing people back to the office anymore. Now we've got another tweet from Sawyer. What did he find here? It's about aeroplanes. Oh, my camera crashed. Let's reopen it. But it'd be nice if you didn't take my mouse away while you're crashing. All right. So we need a camera. So we'll pick the camera in front of me. All right. And I'm upside down, so we'll flip it. There we go. So, a new prototype electric plane from Eviation takes the first flight. It's powered by 21,500 small Tesla-style batteries. Now, which small Tesla-style batteries are we talking? 18650s? Or are we talking 2170s? That's pretty cool looking. Let's see the comments and we'll go over to their we'll go over to their article there. Let's go to Autoblog. Copy the link, paste. Like I keep saying, electrify all the things. And I keep also saying that you don't necessarily need hydrogen for any of this. And it shows every time somebody comes out with a new plane or whatever. Whatever being stuff like boats, trains, trucks. All right, so I guess either they took their video down or it's not allowed to be embedded anymore. Is what we're seeing there. Prototype all-electric plane took flight Tuesday morning in Washington State. Why are they all in Washington State? Is there some sort of... Is that where they're all being built? Or what? I know Boeing's in Washington, but Boeing's everywhere. If the FAA eventually certifies a small airplane to carry passengers, it could be the first all-electric commercial airplane. What about the what do you call the puddle jumpers? What's their actual name? They're not really boat planes. Either way, the ones in Alaska and Washington State already that are they not carrying passengers? That's a good question. All right, so the plane was built by Eviation to carry 9 passengers and 2 pilots. That's not bad. Took off from Moses Lake at 7:10 a.m. and landed 8 minutes later. The goal is to show that such electric planes are viable. Went to an altitude of 15,000 feet. All right. Still just a small Tesla-style battery cells. I'm curious what that translates into. The harbor planes. Yes, that's right, Zero. Yes. And we've seen, 3 demonstrations of those already, 2 prototypes and a production or a conversion. All right, so Autoblog doesn't give us any specs about how long this thing can fly or any of that. Just the 21,500 cells. So we're going to look up Eviation. And what do they call this model? Did they call this model? I'm sorry to be scrolling up on you like this. Well, that wasn't so bad. Let's copy the link, because if I don't, it's going to open a new tab. The Harbor E-Plane. We'll look at them next. And there we are. Alice. That's an interesting model. Alice. All right, so 250 nautical miles a day VFR range, and 260 ktas max operating speed, nautical airspeed, I guess, and 2,500 pounds max payload. That looks sharp inside, and I don't see any windows on here. I do there. This one's got windows. There's clearly daylight coming in. Okay, I see the seats are blocking the windows. There we are. You can use it for cargo, executive, or commuter. So I guess the commuter would be 10 and the executive would be 4. I thought the cargo would actually stand to make them a lot of money. All right, so you've got a mostly glass cockpit. That's cool. All right, here's their engine. It's a Magnix electric propulsion. It's compact. This was a propeller plane, right? Yeah, 2 propellers. I mean, you can do an electric jet, but there's a reason Elon loves the idea and hasn't even put any effort into it yet, because he's, other than him being busy. All right, less maintenance, quieter, which I like. Although the props still make a good bit of noise. Most of the noise on my electric lawnmower comes from the blades. All right, it's 57 feet or 17.4 meters. 12 feet 7 inches or 3.84 meters. 63-foot wingspan or 19.2 meters. A single aisle, 2-row airplane. Okay. 4 feet 11 inches. Woo! You got a duck. Got a duck. 6 feet 4 inches or 1.93 meters across. All right. Highest cargo carrying capacity in class. Class being electric airplanes, or class being this particular size of airplane? All right, MTO 18,400 pounds. Useful payload for commuter is 2,500 pounds. 2 Magni 650s at 700 kilowatts each. 700 kilowatts is impressive. I think that my car only puts out about 500 kilowatts. The new one does way more, but I say only as if 500 kilowatts is not a lot. It's huge. Let's see, 700 kilowatts is 938.72 horsepower apiece. Takeoff distance is only 2750 feet. Landing distance is even shorter at 2040 feet. The one thing about electric craft is that unless they're like hydrogen or something, and even then hydrogen doesn't have that much weight to deal with. They don't get lighter as they go on. They're always the same weight. So with a combustion plane, they get lighter as they go on because they're burning their fuel. 30 minutes energy reserve. Okay. So that means they can only be 30 minutes from land if they go over the sea, right? Or less, 15? I'm not sure how that works. I know that there's extra cushion. So is that with the cushion or not? Um, cool. All right. So now let's look up harbor airplane refresher. I know we've discussed it in the past. I don't know if we discussed it here. Depends on what they did recently. 2020. We've only been doing this for a year, so 2021. Then we may have covered it. But let's go to their site and see what they say. All right. Yeah, this is the one we looked at. Why do they need to know my location? I'm not buying one. Oh, it's for booking a flight. I'm not booking a flight. You don't need to know where I am. All right. So then, yeah. So if I can book a flight with them, then why are these other guys considered first if they get their approval? Or is it poor reporting? Not necessarily poor reporting, but like poor research in your reporting. When you say something is the first, you got to either specify what little category you're talking about, or you got to make sure that there isn't already one out there. And this one was an easy one. Oh, yeah. Oh, well, you know what though? This might be their gas ones that I can book on. I don't know. I want more definition of what is first. All right, then we've got this one from Inside EVs. Oh, this is a fun one. Wish I had my switch tab button because I could just load everything up and then switch between them. That was so fun when I was able to do it that way. So the 2022 DS3 E-Tense gets a facelift and it debuts with a shorter name and more power. More power, baby! And more range. Features slight restyling and benefits from a larger update that includes all EVs on its platform. That's good. This doesn't look bad. Not at all. All right, so DS is given its DS3 hatchback, or crossback, sorry, a mid-cycle refresh. And get a new bumper and headlights. All new wheels. 115 kilowatt motor. That's not bad. Still the same rating though at 260 newton meters and 191 foot-pounds of torque. Interesting. A new 54 kilowatt hour battery pack, and you can use 50.8 of it. It used to be just 50 with a usable 45. Okay. So it's longer. 250-mile range. Not bad. But that 250 miles is WLTP, so 200, which is still good. That's like I keep saying, 200 is a good kind of just rule of thumb sort of range. Let's get some pictures. Nah, let's not look at 27 of these pictures. All right, let's look at some of the 27 pictures because I'm curious what this thing looks like inside. All right. So you got a standard binnacle, but look right here. It's got a heads-up display. I don't like that user interface at all. All right. Um, all right, so the charge port door is where a fuel filler would be, but look where it is, rear left. So they would be just fine sharing the supercharger network with everybody else. Eaton's. All right, there's that interface. Doesn't look too bad. Like they're in pods, that makes sense. Yeah, I just don't like the way it looks. The screen doesn't look bad. It's got a big honking gear selector for no reason. An EV doesn't need that. Give me some push buttons or one of the little flippy things. Wireless phone charging? You don't need a start stop button. Just push the brake. You got the key, you're good. I like the way that Volkswagen did theirs. You can do the key tipsy thing if you want, or you can just push the brake and shift into gear. So what that does for me is it makes it so that folks who aren't yet familiar and comfortable with the idea of an EV and being able to just well Tesla really and be able to just push the brake and go. Sorry, I was thinking about my test drive to the Rivian. I think the Rivian works the same way. You just push the brake and shift into gear. You don't have to faff about with turning it on. All right, the steering wheel's got a decent amount of functionality to it. There we are. Do they have a price on this thing? How to make pounds on this keyboard or euros either? I didn't see them mention the price, but there you go. There's a nice looking option. And then we've got what's this? Ah, the Tesla Life found this article for us. Tesla demand is very solid, says Hertz CEO. And well, we kind of already talked about that. Really, they ordered all of those other vehicles last week. The GMs and the Polestars, and probably more Teslas. Da, 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 da. Demand has skyrocketed. It's very solid. Yeah, we know about the 100,000. We talked about that repeatedly. On Tuesday, Hertz announced a new deal with BP of all places, Beyond Petroleum, the gas station, the oil giant, to deploy EV charging stations. The rental car company said they plan to have thousands of charging stations across the country by the end of 2023 as part of an agreement. Huh. One of the real issues why engaging with BP is an important step is that not only are they going to build out charging stations, mostly fast chargers, on our facilities, but we are going to use their energy management tools and software to sort of overcome range anxiety. Interesting. Then what country is this in? I'm assuming America, but I could be wrong. Because BP and Shell both their big EV pushes in Europe, where they are from. But I think Hertz might mostly be American, if only. Oh well. All right, so then we've got an Elon Musk tweet. Copy this, put it over here. This one is really cool. The last coal shipment arrived in Hawaii at the same time as the Tesla Megapack batteries that will enable 24/7 sustainable energy. So we've seen them do this with smaller islands like American Samoa and a couple of others where they take out the diesel. Not really take out, but they replace the diesel as the primary fuel source. They put out solar cells, they put out mega packs or a bunch of power packs, depending on which island we're talking about. Well, running from diesel is really expensive. So let's see here. The last coal shipment arrives in Hawaii at with KES site in the background. There you go. Look at that. Okay, so they just changed the angles here because here's the shipment coming in, and I probably is it this one or that one? Be either one, I guess. But it would make sense to put them close. That's natural gas, isn't it? Or methane, and that's fuel. And then you can see all the mega packs. They are ready to go. Make it happen, Captain. Let's see what the comments are on this, aside from Elon Senpei. Any updates on Toronto FSD beta geofencing? Yeah, see. Now I definitely live in paradise. There you go. All right, next. Scrolling. I guess I can still just load up a bunch of tabs, and then it'll make it quicker to get them where I need them to go. Oh, I don't have to do that because some of them aren't tweets, so they tell me what they are. Oh, well. All right, so that's Elon Musk, and this one I kept as a tweet instead of an article for a reason. Oh. It says the story is already an amazing example of how hydrogen can result in extending and worsening fossil fuel impacts. But the final section of the story becomes extremely wild. I don't know about extremely wild, but I'm not going to ruin it for you. I want you to experience the roller coaster yourself. Holy moly. All right, here we go. Copy this link, paste it here. And I'll also paste it. What? Sending messages are not currently supported for Facebook profiles, groups, and LinkedIn. What's that got to do with anything? I still have Twitch and YouTube. I want to put the chat out. All right, so I'm going to paste it in YouTube over here. And sorry for those of you on Twitch and elsewhere. They're not letting me chat all of a sudden. So there's the link. And skepticism over Queensland businessman's clean coal hydrogen project in Tasmania's Fingal Valley. What I can do, I can share that to stream. Don't care about your cookies. So this one I read, and let me refresh myself. All right, so this Ohio, this Ohio, this I don't know why I said Ohio. This businessman is he says his success is a result of doing God's will, God's way. Plans to reopen a coal mine in Tasmania that's to fuel a hydrogen plant. Claims it will be the world's first clean coal hydrogen plant. Uh, One thing to point out is that okay, cool. I saved it. Oh, you do have to read this yourself. But one thing to point out, another tweeter had pointed out that that coal is 5% hydrogen, 84% carbon. So yet another case of where it's better just to burn the fossil fuel directly than it is to turn the fossil fuel into hydrogen and burn that. So 95% wasted, basically. Plus, you got to mine it and all that, and it was shut down for in the first place because it produce coal faster or hydrogen faster, maybe. All this greenwashing, basically. Slurry has an agent mixed in. I can't disclose what it is at the moment, but we'll obviously in due course and then go to the reactors. Okay, whatever. Out the other end comes hydrogen. Yeah, it's like it's simple, but it's not. I read this too long ago. I'm sorry. The mine was labeled a disaster already before he even got in. this is the one they're making is let's see, a prototype coal power station to refit it for the hydrogen. Uh, Green Leader says it's a disaster for the climate because coal mines make huge methane. So this is even before it even gets to the processing plant. The methane is trapped in the coal veins, and usually it just escapes raw into the atmosphere. It's not captured and burnt for fuel or anything, and it's not like the methane flaring that you find at the oil wells. Although at the oil wells, instead of flaring off the methane, you could capture it and sell it as natural gas. Da, 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 da. So they talked about the emissions, and then you get into details. The community is mixed. Uh, so then they get into who he is, and he's basically a. It says infiltrate to remediate. He's like a religious zealot, and like the tweeter said, you just got to read it. So yet another case of hydrogen not really doing it right there. All right, so moving on. Let's go talk about GM some more because that's fun. So GM's driverless cruise robotaxis are causing headaches for San Francisco motorists. They're doing things like stopping in the street and not like to pick up passengers like an Uber. They're confused. They just stop. But what gets me is the response time. Let's take a look. So let's see. It's been rolled out in San Francisco successfully. Last week, at least 3 of Cruise's taxis were reportedly responsible for holding up traffic in San Fran. One even reportedly blocked a bus lane, stopping just inches away from a minibus. Due to the driverless car's behavior, the bus driver had to maneuver around the robotaxi. Another Cruise vehicle was sighted stopped in the middle of the road at Sacramento and Mason Streets, with its lights flashing and its radio on full blast and empty. So it's just playing music for nobody. Let's see. In a statement to the San Francisco Gate, the California Public Utilities Commission noted that it was aware of the incidents involving GM's driverless robotaxis. A spokesperson from the CPUC also noted that the commission is working with autonomous vehicle companies to gather details about the incidents, working to understand their frequency, location, and conditions in which they occur. In general, if an autonomous vehicle company violates their permit conditions, they have the authority, the CPUC has the authority to suspend or revoke their operating authority. So right now, they are not allowing any more cruises on than they already have because of this. So 2 self-driving cruise cars blocking Sacramento and Leavenworth, no drivers in them. Well, of course, they're self-driving. Yeah, that's all right. That's enough of that because somebody's probably gonna sell it to Daily Hog or Daily Viral, and they're gonna copyright flag me, uh, like they did with the last one. So if you're looking for my last coverage of the cruise cars being antisocial, uh, that part was clipped out because I wasn't about to pay Daily Hog for anything because I don't have the extra money for these things. It's not for like a weekly story, and it wasn't theirs at the time. They got it later and then tried to come after me. Anyway, so the problem is it took them 20 minutes to respond to the incident. A 20-minute response time is unacceptable. What if you had a customer who was like trapped in the car for some reason, or I mean, Waymo isn't perfect either, but it doesn't take them 20 minutes to get to the car, and they can remotely tell it, "Hey, go find the parking lot, and then we'll deal with it later." So Cruise has to work on this right here. Who's it, Simon? Yeah, Simon. Looks like Simon agrees with me on this. Waiting for 20 minutes for an autonomous car that's blocking the road would likely be considered extremely inconvenient by motorists and commuters alike. 20 minutes is a lot of time, especially after all in emergencies. Overall, crews should probably consider using safety drivers similar to Tesla owners in the FSD beta program or Waymo when they were just getting started. Let's see the comments on this. Stated the driverless vehicle stopped because of a technical issue. You don't say. That was biological. Software's hard. Software's hard. Where are all the GM paid posters? uh, Not everybody has time to post on here for pay. All right, so that's enough of that. While this one loads, I'll grab a little snack here. Right, so SpaceX and NASA are moving forward with plans to build a second Dragon launch pad. Um, SpaceX wants to use Pad 39A, which is currently where I don't want to say all Dragons, but where all Crew Dragons launch from. Uh, they want to use that to also launch Starship. We've only seen what 2 successful Starship flights, like where they didn't blow up, but that's not to say that they didn't learn what they need to learn from them, because each one they failed in a different way. Uh, but now they don't have landing legs, and so NASA is concerned that if something happens with Starship when it launches from the Cape, that there won't be any way for us to get humans in space for a while the repairs are being done to the facilities. Um, so what they want to see is they want to see a second Dragon pad to make sure that they can get both crew and cargo out of Cape Canaveral without us having to resort to. I don't even think we can rely on the Europeans anymore, because they were using Soyuz rockets as well. They call them something different, but they're just Russian rockets basically, and we definitely don't want to really give any more money to Russia. Speaking of that, we do have an exchange program we're running with them where we're putting one person on the Russian rocket, and the Russians are putting one person on Dragon. But no money is changing hands because of what's going on in Europe right now with Russia, and the fact that they've been sanctioned all over the place. All right, so let's see. They want to put this at SLC 40, and they further add that this is going to happen starting with cargo launches from SLC 40 before moving on to crew. We'll be ready in time for Starship. Yeah, it'd have to be, because if it's not ready in time for Starship, NASA's just going to say no, 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 no. When a Falcon 9 exploded at LC-40 in 2016, causing damage that effectively required a total rebuild, it took SpaceX 15 months to resurrect the pad. In other words, if a Starship failed and destroyed Pad 39A, 39A's Falcon and Dragon facilities at some point in the next 12 to 18 months, it could easily threaten NASA's ability to maintain the ISS if Boeing were unable to take over. And counting on Boeing to take over is a tall order right now. They are, what, 4 years late for their crew flight? I don't know. Somebody correct me on that, but I think it's 4 years late. Or yeah, because we went and watched the Crew Dragon demo in our Model S, and we had the Model S last in 2018. So there you go. I think we watched it in the S. No, we might have watched it in the X. I see when the 360 camera came out, because it was after that. October of 2022. No, that's the wrong model. Why would you change my search? Stupid machine. No, it's not June of 2022. Wikipedia. I don't care about the new ones. I'm looking for the old one. Well, it had a firmware update in April of 2019. So yeah, at least 3 years, but I think it was 4 years. I can't recall now what car we were in. I believe that we were in the Model X because I saw a brown Model S, the titanium, the same as ours, on the charging station. And then there's a leaf that moved. I meant moved our car in place, but that's nothing new. I would have done that with the Volt, one of the Volts. Anyway, you can't count on Boeing to get there because they're late and they still haven't even been man rated yet. Nothing's known about the nature of the modifications. NASA will probably require something similar to 39A, such as a crew access tower, crew access arm, escape system. 39A uses baskets and zip lines, which is exactly what they used from Apollo, Apollo and Space Shuttle. And of course, when SpaceX is done with 39A, they are required to return it to uh, its historic configuration as a museum, basically. That's what I'm saying. Given that NASA is asking for this, there's a good chance NASA will say no if you don't have it ready by the time you're ready to launch Starship. Greatly amuses me that the SLS tower cost NASA something like $750 million plus $380 million for the new crawler to bring in the launch pad. SpaceX uses the self-powered modular transporters, all those little wheels, uh, available on the open market for maybe a couple million. Don't know. They have like four more of them. One done fast. SpaceX. Why? Might blow up. Who cares? We'll build another iteration that's better and cheaper. And this is true. Like if it's not people on board, move fast and break stuff. So who pays for these upgrades? If it was ULA upgrade, the government would be doing a cost plus deal. But here's the government expecting SpaceX to pay in full for everything? Question mark. Um, that's a really good question because if this was a requirement just because they wanted some redundancy, then NASA would have to pay, or at least ask them nicely, "Hey, will you build this for us?" But since it's a matter of them trying to make sure that SpaceX's new thing doesn't mess up the contract they've already got, SpaceX may have to pay for that. I mean, it'll work out well for them, but the question is, doing the upgrades should be faster than doing a rebuild, and it should be ready before Starship is on any regular cadence. But if it's all they think it will be, then Starship will just be ready once a day, more than once a day. We'll see. Mhm. All right, here we go. Copy link, paste and go. All right, so this is the EV infrastructure master plan for Florida. I'll give you a link to that on YouTube as well, so you can read it yourself. soon as. All right, so we're gonna skim through this till I find what I actually pulled it up for. It's very well done, I'm told. I didn't read it all. Their EV infrastructure master plan, telling you why they're doing it. There we go. Emerging needs and opportunities. Utility regulatory considerations. Definitions. So we're going to search for disaster. Um, Energy diversity and independence. Mobility is no longer tied to petroleum. Renewable energy resources are advancing. Resiliency to natural disasters, but that's not the one I was looking for. Here we go. This is what I was looking for. Resiliency during natural disasters is a critical requirement for the EVSE infrastructure in Florida. That's a electric vehicle supply equipment for, because I didn't call out the definition in the beginning. The ability to travel after a hurricane is important for everyone, including EV owners. Redundant power supply feeds to EVSE locations improve resiliency of the charging network. Where redundant feeds are not available, on-site backup, on-site power generation is another option. Emergency charging locations should also have multiple chargers and charging plugs, so the failure of a single charger does not render the charging site inoperable. So this is pretty awesome. Like, one, they're calling out, hey, a lot of these third-party chargers go down, and so we don't want just one station. We need more than that, so that way we've got backups. And then they want dual power feeds to make sure that if for some reason something goes down in the grid, that it's still covered. And they already have requirements like this for some of their gas stations along the emergency routes, is that they have to have generators. But even though they have generators to make sure they can pump the gas out of the ground, because they're the only ones open, they tend to run out of fuel faster because now everybody's coming to them. And that's with the requirement that they have more fuel on hand as well, because they are an emergency station. All right. So besides that, um, if they can't give them dual feeds, then you're going to need to have battery backups or uh, generators or some other solution. Because one of the other solutions they came up with is uh, well, let's just go through it. It's one of the other subjects they came up with was pretty cool. All right, so I see that they have ADA access. That's great. Americans with Disability. Uh, oh, okay, I see why. Because this is all charging. That's good. I was like, why do they only have one spot on each way? And why is it way down there? Because it's close to the building, and it also has a charger on it. That's why. All right, so multiple charger types ensure interoperability with older EVs, so they're not trying to cut out the Leaf owners there. Leaf and the iMeave. Permanent on-site backup power generation is recommended. Either diesel or a battery energy storage system. Roll-on backup power generation is an option if permanent on-site generators are not feasible. So what they're talking about here is generator trucks. So the warning gets deployed and they roll out the Jenny trucks. Assuming you don't already have batteries generators, that's pretty cool. On-site solar panels can be sufficient to power facilities, but require adequate battery storage systems to power EVs. And what they're looking at there is to run the rest stop or Plaza Oases. They might take a lot of electricity, but nowhere near what filling up a bunch of evacuating EVs on a short span would take up. As we discussed, I took 14 megawatt hours through my car already, and that's just one driver under 100,000 miles. When you look at an evacuation, that's going to be millions of people leaving. So you gotta have on hand. And so if you're gonna have solar, you gotta make sure that that you have batteries to catch that, because you're gonna be wasting a lot if there's a grid down situation. When on-site EVSEs are down or demand is excessive during emergencies, mobile trailer DC fast charging stations can be strategically deployed. Opportunity for multi-state collaboration exists. So that's really cool right there, because right now what you see is you see all the states, they send all their line workers down, they send National Guard, all that. So they'll have, basically like the cows. The cows are the carrier, what do they call the cows? The mobile cell sites, they call them cows, or at least Verizon does. And so you'll see them get deployed as well. Now you have that for EVs, and so they're demonstrating that here with this, semi truck with the EV charger on the back. And even better, like in Tesla's case, their mobile charger system has a mega pack on it, so they've already got the battery storage right there. So one thing they could do, they could take their existing Tesla mobile emergency chargers and they could put solar panels on top of that and then just trickle charge the mega pack. Because if they're deploying them in a non-emergency, like just sometimes the whole site goes down and they'll just put that out instead. Then they don't have to take it back and charge it and switch it with another one. It could actually last longer. Nifty. All right, so that's page one. I pulled out a page two. They're going what they need for emergency preparedness. Um, items to put in place before the disaster occurs, including physical infrastructure and plans. Because the reason I highlighted this is this Florida just went through a disaster, and we're getting ready to do this switch to EVs, and a lot of people are freaking out because they're unfamiliar, and I understand the unfamiliar can be intimidating. Let's use that word, intimidating, and so this will help alleviate some of that fear. Aside from people like us that have done it and saying, "Hey, I evacuated, 8 times in EVs, no problem." Oh, well, you were lucky. No, not as bad as you think it is. Not everybody's leaving at one time. They let you know, like, well, assuming it's not a surprise storm, they let you know like a week out, like, "Hey, this is coming." So at that point, I've already started getting the car ready to charge, getting stuff ready to go, and then they call the evacuation, and I'm out. I like to be out before well, in states that do lane reversals, I like to be out before they reverse the lanes. Alright, infrastructure installed at, designated emergency stations prior to an emergency occurring. That would make sense, like, while you're staging sandbags, you probably wanna also have the mobile charger ready to go, even if it's not plugged in, just have it there. And then also while it's there, make sure that you have everything you need to plug it in. Redundant power feeds, on-site generators, connection for mobile generators. The redundant power feed should be there when you build it, or soon thereafter. Communication network, network connectivity and redundancy in contingency plans. Um, so what Tesla does in these cases, and what they did this time as well, they just make it free to charge. So now you don't have to worry about if you have connection or not because your car's already allowed to charge. Another thing they do is on the cars with the software capped battery, they uncap it. And I'm assuming that the cars that have been barred from charging, um, for whatever reason, like not paying the bill or whatever, I'm assuming they get uncapped as well during this time. I don't know about the cars that have been totaled, because that's still a safety issue. Um, I mean, it is a safety issue in theory, but as we've seen, a lot of the cars are totaled for vandalism, for instance, like somebody jealous X messes up the paint, and then the insurance company says, "Ah, we don't want to repaint that thing," and it gets totaled. Um, well, on a new Tesla, that's not going to happen, but not the jealous X, but them dropping it. Um, are we still on? Let's see. Hopefully, it didn't end. It says excellent health. Let me see where we're at on the thing. It's frozen. Let me refresh. And it's no longer sharing the screen. But because it looks like this, I know that it didn't end. All right, so let's go back to sharing the screen. There we go. Oh, there we go. All right, so and we've also seen other providers do this too. Like Electrify America was doing free charging. I don't know if they was doing that everywhere, or if they're just doing it in Florida, but I saw a couple of folks in my circles reported they had successful free charging situations in Florida on Electrify America. So it's the right thing to do, and then that way you don't have to worry about having a redundancy to your cell network because if the station just says, "Hey, until I come back, it's free," you don't have to worry about making a redundancy to the you don't have to buy extra modems or extra cell plans or anything like that. You just everybody's good. But the car remembers whether it's blacklisted or not, not the stations. So they don't even need to phone in for that. So what I was wondering was if 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 those cars also get unlocked or not, because the car is also the one that remembers that it's been charge limited as well. All right, payment. Communication is usually used for payments, and there are multiple ways to address an outage. You can capture payment information locally and process later, the old school way. Florida could explore a legislative framework for FEMA to reimburse electricity costs associated with EV charging during a declared emergency. I think that would be the best way to get acceptance from these vendors because electricity is not free, and they will still be charged for it. It's still metered uh, for the station operator. So if they know they can get their money back, it'd be the best way because not everybody's Electrify America or Tesla that can afford to just give away the electricity and deal with it later. Um, we'll come back to the graphic later. Power supplies, mobile EVSE deployments, a trailer with EVSE that can be deployed to the exact areas impacted, attached to the grid at pre-planned locations for emergency charging. So kind of like you might see in your grocery store, like every now and then they'll have a display sitting in the middle of the floor where there's no outlets. But if you look up, there's um, I forgot the name of it, but in Europe it would be a type 2 connector, just right there, ready for you to plug into. And in the states, it would depend on what their display is, and you'll see them kind of if you look up and look at their infrastructure, they've actually got them pre-planned, ready to go, even if they don't use them all that often. So you would just have that capability right there for plugging in a mobile charging station, or do like Tesla, and you don't need to plug it in, just park it. They've done both. They've done both. Some with the battery, some without. The one without, you obviously have to plug it in order to get it. Uh, Pre-planned locations attached to or combined with a mobile generator. You can do mobile backup generators. A trailer with a diesel generator that can power the EVSE in emergency. Or you can deploy to pre-planned locations that have infrastructure to accept a connection to a generator and pre-planned space to hold the generator. Yeah, I mean, because those are expensive too, and they require maintenance. And if you have them all in one place, you can do all your maintenance a lot faster than if you had to send somebody out to every site to go do the maintenance. And then when it's time, you just deploy them. Other considerations, level 2 chargers should be installed near evacuation shelters or hotels for coastal residents who travel inland for temporary shelter. Access to level 2 chargers in these locations will reduce demand on the DC fast charging infrastructure. Correct. And you want it, the reason they said put it near where the people are going to be staying is because they'll be staying a long time. You don't want to use a level 2 charger to evacuate because um, that's going to take a long time. As long as well, if you had a really good one, and like my car that's got like 72 amps, it would take me 4 hours from zero to 80 or 90%. That's 4 hours every 200 miles. That's not sufficient, especially in a mass evacuation. And it's not just me. That means I'm also tying up that charger for 4 hours, not just stuck for 4 hours. So you want those things to be where people are going to be stopped. Whereas with the DC fast chargers are going to be where you're going to go from state to state. I like that this one reminds me of where we talked about with the it wasn't Nicola, was it? It might have been Nicola. Dan and I were commenting on how I felt ripped off that the demonstration they used for their vehicle. It was probably Nicola. It had all the chargers in it, and they had enough room for battery packs, and there were no batteries in it. So yeah, you can do them on a pickup truck, or you can do them on a semi truck, whichever is convenient. You're gonna need long cables for a pickup truck, though. The gap analysis for long range travel. GIS computer mapping analysis was used to find gaps in the DC fast charging network, along with the state highway service, I guess. Multiple factors were combined to find the areas around the SICH roadway intersections that have a high potential to fill the gaps in the DC fast charge EV and SE network. But basically, here they're talking about how they decided where they were going to put the regular stations at and their methodology, which is kind of important because the government's getting ready to spend billions of dollars, and they want to make sure that that money is being spent effectively and not just going into some politician's election fund. Not that they could do that legally, but look at what's happening with the response to Florida's recovery right now. They're being directed, please don't send food or supplies, send cash. And the guy's wife is in charge of the funds. But that's getting political, so let's move on to something else. I like the name of this site. Bozinga! Elon Musk throws shade at Henrik Fisker over something he did to Tesla 15 years ago. Karma is a B. Uh, so Fisker is complaining that they're complaining that one of their contractors has gone off and competing with them. Basically, let's just read it how they put it. Uh, Tesla Rider report indicated that DeLorean executives are being sued by Karma for pursuing a separate venture. In response to the article, which was shared on Twitter, Musk called out Fisker for doing the exact same thing to Tesla 15 years ago. He says, "How ironic that Henrik Fisker did to Tesla. That's what Henrik Fisker did to Tesla in 2007. Karma is a Elon Musk said via tweet. I wonder if he put dot 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 or if he just spelled it out. Yeah, he put dot dot dot. Our friend Raphael took out some of the dots. All right, so for those not familiar, what Fisker did was exactly the same thing. He went out and started his own thing while he was in charge of getting the Model S ready to go, and he was sued for taking the better design and taking it with him to Fisker and giving them the second string design for the Model S. And then after he quit, got fired, they brought on Franz, who made the Model S that we know today. So I wonder if the prototype was a Fisker design or if the prototype was a Franz design. Because that prototype car, oof, it looks nothing like the Model S of today. I don't think it was pretty. I mean, it was sleek and it was cool and it was futuristic, but like the way they did the screen and the wheel and then it didn't hold a candle to the real Model S, the betas or the production one, and definitely not the current one. Tesla got rid of Fisker's work and started over when it learned that Fisker was launching a competing company. Tesla then hit Fisker with a lawsuit claiming he stole confidential information, but he won in arbitration. He went on to launch Fisker before filing bankruptcy in 2013 when Hurricane Sandy took him out. The company's assets were purchased by the Waxing Group in 2014 before being renamed to Karma Automotive, and Fisker's design remains on the market today as the Karma GS6. Yeah, because that would have been a little weird to have the Karma on sale because company name and your car name. Ooh, karma is a bee in it. Another entendre. I didn't even think that the company name, the car name. Well played, Elon. So that was that. Moving on. I don't want to link the paragraph. I want the link. Rivian receives Transport Canada certification to deliver the R1T and R1S in Canada. They published a story about how Rivian had applied with Transport Canada to import and sell vehicles north of the border, but was not able to meet the requirements to do so. Today, we have good news that Canadian reservation holders reached out exclusively to Drive Tesla. That they let us know that as of today, they're now certified and registered with Transport Canada to legally begin delivering EVs in Canada. Oh, Rivian did, not Rivian customers. Good on you guys. They also clarified that the Transport Canada requested more information and documentation from them before giving the official certification. For pre-clearance list of recognized vehicle importers. So is it political or bureaucratic? And a multi-passenger vehicle greater than 45, 36 kilograms. OEM truck greater than 45, 36 kilograms. Or not greater than, less than. Sorry, less than. With this vehicle hurdle out of the way, the deliveries begin soon, hopefully. They say they were not able to tell us when they might start, saying they will first reach out to early reservation holders to let them know before making the news public. That's the way to do it. Good on them. Anybody excited about their truck? No, of course not. We got a lot of SpaceX news this week. Not like last time, but a lot still. All right, we're still in air. Good. SpaceX has warned customers in Florida of impending Hurricane Ian. So this is the other thing that Tesla likes to do. They can send messages to the cars, and so they did a storm alert. In the next 48 hours, the storm is forecast to make landfall in Florida and may impact power access at the charging stations in the region. We recommend charging your Tesla to 100% today to reduce the storm's impact on your travel plans. You can review the statuses and availability of superchargers along your route by tapping the supercharger pins on your vehicle's touchscreen, and you can push OK. So I'm hoping that this also pings the phone for the Tesla app, because if you got people like me who don't get in the car every day, I would miss the charge today message. Although I probably would have already seen the weather report and gone down to do just that. But it'd be nice to get these in the app. I'm assuming they probably already do it, but assuming they don't, then it would be nice to do that. Oh, and SpaceX is also warning customers about the hurricane. So there's the bigger picture of the car screen. And then SpaceX sent this email to customers. We're reaching out as your service area has the potential to be impacted by Hurricane Ian. Your Starlink is designed and tested to withstand 65-mile-an-hour winds. However, 65 plus mile per hour winds. However, over the coming days, your area may experience wind speeds that exceed this specification. If possible, we recommend storing your Starlink dish inside your home to avoid damage from the storm. This will also keep it safe for use after the storm passes. You can find instructions to stow your Starlink by clicking here or following the button link below. I wonder if it's a picture or if they kept it. No, it's a picture. If you're not able to remove your Starlink from its installation site, we recommend ensuring that your Starlink is installed as securely as possible. Should you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out to the support team through your Starlink app or on Starlink.com. I've seen a lot of complaints about their customer service. They were good for me. Slow, but good. And not even like some people like, oh, I've waited for a month. Mine was just like 2 hours, and they answered me, and it was done. The question is, my high performance dish, is it since it's rated against water jets, does it have a different rating? I'm curious. And no comments there either. I looked at a guy who in Florida, he was going to take his dish down, but he left it up. He was not in the landfall region. But one thing he forgot about was that hurricanes spawn tornadoes, and so his dish was hit with a tornado and still works. It was struck by lightning last month. His poor dishy. Power outages, lightning strikes, tornadoes. But the point of that was that it still worked after it got hit with the tornado. Mm, that's not saying that you should leave your dish up for it to get by a tornado in a hurricane. If they sent you the message, just take it down. But the reason they say if you're unable to, some of them are like on 200-foot masts or stuff like that, where it's just okay, maybe not 200 feet, but um, something that you'd need to get a specialty person up to go deal with, and their equipment might not be certified to operate in the winds that are in the time leading up to the hurricane, or they might be super busy. You're just one of many customers. Copy link. Do I want to start there, or do I want to continue on SpaceX? Let's continue on. Whoa. All right. So yeah, we saw that one already. Sorry. As I said, I catch the news as I come into it. All right. So we saw the Japanese crash test where the car stopped for a child. We saw all the owners talk about how the car stops for a child. I saw a Wham Bam Tesla Cam video this morning where the car stopped for a small dog. Well, Tesla detects and comes to a stop for a child unexpectedly crossing the road video. I wonder what this is here. This is this an overlay for the guy's video, or has he got some sort of? I don't think that would be a developer build. I think that he's overlaid that somehow. So anyway, we're referring to Dan O'Dowd and his faked test where they claim that the car hit somebody or hit a mannequin. Sorry. Oh, this is a website, and he just taps what he has. All right, so there's a kid here. I don't know if the kid was telling him to stop or if that was like a reflexive, like ah. Oh, but this is part of what we saw at AI Day. The car is now keeping track of objects that it can't see anymore. It's like it saw the kid get out of the car, and it's tracking the motion of the kid, and assuming that they don't just go someplace else. Uh, they will probably be coming out in front of the van right about now. Oh, hey, look, there's a kid. Stop now. And it works that way for cars, trucks, bicycles, pedestrians, motorcycles. I mean, this is all really cool stuff. Tesla hit the kid. It would have been worldwide headlines, headline news, and the HTSA and the Canadian DMV or Canadian, California DMV would set up camp for a 5-day investigation. Yeah, probably so. Uh, Many cars will brake for pedestrians. Yes, that wasn't the point. By the way, lots of brands have the ability to see bikes and pedestrians enter from the side of the road and automatically slam on the brakes. My ID3 does this occasionally as bikers in Amsterdam take the road with impunity. Yeah, Tesla used to use the same system as your ID3. They used to use the Mobileye system, and Mobileye does also watch out for pedestrians. My car sees them flying in, hits the brakes, and signals with a bright red warning across the interior LED directional bar and suited to a high-pitched alert. If they stop, they usually look at you like you've insulted their mother and throw you the finger. This is so true. They're completely in the wrong by not giving you the ability to see them and have some sort of situational awareness. But like I keep saying with the whole situation with the noisemakers for the blind, is it's our responsibility not to hit them. So uh, I was working on FSD safety score. I lost a point because a pedestrian was walking across the other side's lanes of traffic towards the narrow concrete median. I got the shrill warning. Well, yeah, because the car obeys the law in most places where uh, once the pedestrian is in the roadway, they have the whole roadway. Unless it's one of the cases where they have like a what do they call it, a rest island in the middle where you go halfway across and then you've got another crossing. Um, Problem with SSD is yes, it detects the speed change for school zones, but it can't decipher the 7 a.m. to 7 to 5:30 p.m. Monday to Friday. This is true, or at least it doesn't do anything about it. Or can it realize the pentagonal end sign means resume previous speed? Stays at 30 until I turn onto another street or side street. Yeah. You think that the rear view side camera would recognize the school zone sign on the opposite side of the street when I exit the school zone? That's one way to handle it. I don't know. This is cool. Footage in this video also closely resembles footage shared by the ANCAP, which, yeah, that's the one we talked about. Let's see. Copy this link, and we'll put it in the YouTube as well. Give this guy a little bump on his channel. Well, that's not exactly the way I was planning to do it. I was planning to give it to you guys, but my keyboard was in the wrong window somehow. There you go. Oh, stop. I meant to give him a thumbs up. I'll open this for me for later to look at his channel. Oh, it opened in a new window anyway. That's amazing. Whoa! No music, please. Thank you. Paste and go. All right, so Pony AI has teamed up with SAIC AI Lab to develop driverless EV robotaxi. So that's basically GM China. They want a driverless EV robotaxi. I wonder if they're going to do something from scratch, or if they're just going to take the software and the hat from Cruise and put it on this Chinese automobile. With China's largest automaker. Well, no, they wouldn't, because Pony AI doesn't have anything to do with Cruise right now. Car will be capable of level 4 autonomous driving and feature a foldable steering wheel. Their concept is based on the Marvel R model and equipped with the latest generation of their self-driving technology. Includes 17 sensors to create 360-degree visual range that extends 200 meters, eliminating blind spots around the vehicle. The company hopes will eventually allow it to reach level 4 autonomous driving. You need lots of data. The foldable steering wheel looks kind of cool. Features an intelligent cockpit with foldable steering wheel that provides human-machine interaction experience that significantly advances automobile autonomy. So the cool thing about a folding or non-existing steering wheel is that you can then allow people to sit in the driver's seat. That gives you one extra passenger you can carry around. But if it still has full controls, you generally don't want anybody in the driver's seat because they can mess it up. No timeline. That was my question. What's their timeline? But they did get licensed to operate 100 of these as taxis in this area. Right. And what? Did I not copy it? All right. So the Tesla Semi has been spotted testing on runaway truck ramps, which is important because you need to know that the truck will interface correctly at a runaway truck ramp and make sure that it's as safe as possible. Here's what they're going to do with their sleeper cab, because right now they got room for it, but it's just empty space. Somebody else pointed out that everything was taped off, so you couldn't see inside. So you might be asking, well, don't they have regen braking? Yes, they do. Well, don't they have backup brakes? Yes, they do. But what if everything fails? Do you want an 82 ton? Sorry, 82 ton. 41 ton. Is that right? Yeah, 41-ton truck. It's just barreling down the side of the mountain. No, no, you want them to be able to find some way to safely bring it to a stop. So it's 82,000 pounds for electric trucks in the US. I think they get an extra 1,000 pounds in Europe. So here's some pictures of how it did. You can see rock damage and such. I'll pull it up later because it opened a new window. Same for that one. If Tesla was testing the semi on a runaway ramp, it would suggest that the electric vehicle is leaving no stone unturned, ha ha ha, to ensure that, say, ha ha, because the runaway truck ramps are usually paved with gravel or sand or some sort of collapsible material. It costs quite a few thousands of dollars to repair them after you use them. Um, da, da, da. uh, oh, okay, yeah. This person's saying, let's go Tesla, let's destroy toxic, dirty, slow moving diesels one innovation at a time. And this guy calls himself Troll Hunter, but he's actually being a troll himself. He says that 30 diesel brought you the device you spewed your ignorance through. Well, I mean, it doesn't have to in the future. Tesla sidelined after just 300 miles, undergoing a 3-hour minimum charge. What the hell? All right, so this is more of this just ignorance, like I was talking about with the people with the AI day responses. The semi truck has a 500-mile range at full load. The first ones that are coming out are the 500-mile, not the 350. And the charge time is 30 minutes to 80%, not 3 hours. Boy. Okay, cool. I was about to say, man, I have to type a response to this online. The plain C rebuttal is the Tesla semi is rated for 500 miles, fully laden. It's common knowledge, leaving your comment is a waste of effort. uh, to be proven still, but Tesla has a good history of following through. Yeah. All right. So this guy seems to think that people trying to tow with their electric pickup trucks and not being able to tow and get what it says on the sticker is them lying. But what it is they are rated unladen, whereas the semi truck is rated fully laden. This heavy truck is versus full size, but there's a reason they're not going long hauling with electric. What? No, they are going long hauling. That's what the semi does. Uh, where do you get 8-hour recharge, fool? Ice competitors filled up in 30 minutes in the back of the road. Yeah, so is this Tesla semi. Why would you base anything Tesla does on another vehicle? Exactly. Are you this angry because you didn't buy Tesla shares early? Let's see what other foolishness this guy comes up with. Uh, waste of time to do a runaway test. No, it's not a waste of time. Tesla's one of their primary things they do is safety first. So, primarily comprised of the dump trailer with conventional air brakes. What? All right, I might be done with this soon because it looks like they're going back and forth. Oh, he did say something about the trailer. Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, the tow vehicle always has better brakes than the trailer. It's just the way it is. 50,000-pound trailer. That's what the runaway. That's why they're testing the runaway. If all the brakes have failed, then you can't bring the thing to a stop. All right, let's see any more intelligent comments on this thing. Transition to Evse is only beginning, just to get out of the way of freedom. Let it live and let live. Wow, this guy. he 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 uh he really follows all those anti-EV talking points. Let's see. A lot of assumptions being made here. I'm certain somebody would have reported a Tesla semi on a runaway ramp. Um, what do you think actually happens when a truck takes an escape ramp? Stuff gets tore up every time. Yeah, interesting. A lot of people just fighting about this thing for some reason. Weird. Seems ironic the new Tesla semi killer is being transported on a big ice powered semi trailer. Yeah, why aren't they hauling it on a Tesla semi? That's yeah, that would have been cool to see them drive it on a Tesla semi. If such a runaway test happened, it likely ticked the box on a Department of Transportation form designed in the era of big dumb diesels and never updated. Both ICE and electric trucks have multiple ways of controlling downhill speed, but testing this final option was still a good idea, knowing that using the runaway lane does not result in destruction of the vehicle or related hazards to the populace should help with the approval process. Yeah, I agree. That only Nikola truck could roll downhill. I used to drive a 379 Pete, drove in snow and ice. I could feel how my truck was doing. Only question is, how will your truck do when you need to chain up or your airlines freeze and you got to get out, clean your light? Who helps with that? You. uh, these are both likely many times. All right, that's enough of them. Let's look at the pictures. All right, let's go to here and start with this one. All right, cool. So I don't even know how to load the second one up. They got them right there. All right, so this is Tesla owners of Kentucky. Saw a semi on the way to National Drive Electric Week in Louisville this morning. Dan says those runaway ramps need to be tested thoroughly. A few months back, a rookie truck driver caused a multi-car accident with several deaths and could not make it to a runaway ramp in time. Yeah, exactly. There were plastic sheets blocking the view from the outside, so no pics of the inside. All right, so this is one owned and run by Tesla, as you can tell by that. I wonder if it's got the air ride like the cars do, because that is slammed. I mean, they obviously could have cranked it down there, but I wonder if it can lower itself like that. Wow, the license plate is just like barely on there, like it came loose. And the Tesla Semi has armor glass, so hopefully we don't see anything nicking the front windshield. It, it definitely ran through something. Yeah, like look at all this space back here. I'm curious what they could do with a sleeper cab. All right, let's look at the next picture. It's a cool looking truck to me. Yeah, it was battle scarred, all right. Okay, so even though it is that low, it doesn't. It's not actually just the skirts are contacting the trailer, not the bottom of the truck. This looks like similar to me to the modification they made on the Model S, where they I think my Model S had it done too, where they strengthened the front edge of the battery pack to make sure that any debris kicked up didn't damage it. Right there on the what looks like the air tank, I guess. because the motors would be in between the axles. Dan says the test is highly necessary. Absolutely. Tesla Semi, with all the safety features, could have prevented that. Driver's now serving 50 plus years, one per life lost. And that's only because the law said it. No one wanted the driver in prison. Wow. Yeah, like if it was just a pure accident, like just like he was doing everything correctly and it was just like freak, then yeah, nobody would want that. He was asked if they can use the images. Oh, go for it. All right, let's just more tweets. So let's see. That's the Elon tweet for Fisker. Yes, a car I've been waiting for quite some time. Not for me personally, but because I think it looks cool and I think it would be good for what the heck? I clicked on the wrong thing. Here. That's what I wanted to do. So Nissan Aria gets updated US pricing. It starts at 43,190. There's an update. Looks after several days, it looks like deliveries of the Nissan Aria will finally begin in North America this year. I think they just started in Japan. Ahead of those first deliveries, the Japanese automaker has revealed updated US pricing for the electric crossover. They had pricing last year, but according to a press release, those prices were part of the Aria reservation program. Fortunately, those customers who placed orders under that program will have their prices honored, which is good because we've seen many folks on both sides of how this can fall out, where either the price is not honored or it is honored, and obviously these big companies, the best thing for them to do is to honor the pricing for the reservation holders and then change it for the new customers. Let's see here. So the base Engage package is front wheel drive and is the only one that comes with a 63 kilowatt hour battery pack. It's priced at 43,190, and the prices increase from there. They all, other than that base model, all have an 87 kilowatt hour pack, and then they have front wheel and all wheel drive options for those. Nissan calls it E-Force with the numeral 4 and the word force spelled out, as much as 60,190. That's not a terrible spread, a 20,000 spread. When you look at some of the other EVs and their spreads, oof. Range for the Aria tops out at 304 miles. That's not bad at all. It's way more than mine will do. We could try and explain all the different variances, but it's easier to include the table that Nissan provided in their press release. Yeah. All right, look at that. Pause the video, screenshot it, whatever you need. Those are your Nissan Aria pricing. The front-wheel drive variants will begin late fall. No announcement on updated Canadian pricing, but let's see. They'll update the article. Update. Nissan Canada tells us the updating pricing will be announced at a later date. All right, then. And then Dan gives us the article about the truck driver's sentence was lowered to 10 years after originally receiving 110 years for the fatal crash. I'll paste that in the YouTube chat. I mean, 10 years is much better and more manageable, but like you said, if it was nothing he could have done about it, then that's still unfortunate to see. Why can't I paste? I copied it. I copy it again. Copy link. Go to YouTube. Paste. Send. There we go. Now, on to the next one. Copy this. Paste it here for you all to see. And go. So Tesla's used car business is one of their fastest growing verticals. Go figure. Everybody's used cars are selling like hotcakes. So why would not the fastest growing automakers used cars be one of the fastest growing as well? Most people don't realize Tesla runs its own vertically integrated nationwide online used car retailer. This is true. Um, Tesla Electric put it at a run rate of $1 billion per annum. Uh, both businesses are worth between 4 and 6 billion. I'm not gonna try to break it down. Tesla says it is, and if they lie to the press, somebody will find out and they'll get caught. So, Kia and Electrify America have announced the Kia Niro EV pricing charging perk. You get uh, they say up to 1950 miles of free charging on the Electrify America network. Now, obviously, there's no way for them to know how many miles you've used because they're a completely different company and they're not plugged in. However, what they did do is give you 500 kilowatt hours of complimentary fast charging to new owners of Kia Niro EVs. Nice. We've seen other EV makers do like a free year or free amount of kilowatt hours. I've seen Tesla do both. It's just nice, you get a new car, comes with a full charge. You get a new car, comes with a full tank of gas. That sort of thing. Ford has formed a new company in China to boost its EV efforts. This one further goes into my theory that Ford Model E is gonna be Ford and Ford Blue is gonna be in the trash heap. Sorry, in the recycle bin, if you will. Oh, Ford registered a new company called Ford Electric Mach Technologies, or FEMET for short. Uh, it's the first time a foreign car brand would form a new entity focused on EVs in the China market. Dawood says Tesla makes cars, sells the cars, buys the cars back, then strips their software upgrades, and then sells the cars again at another profit. Yes, and then they have to upgrade the upgrades again too. Oh, it's a money making machine. That's what they are. Ford currently runs a direct sales network for premium EVs known as Ford Select. They have 106 outlets in 43 cities, but they are not very successful. So maybe this new company will do that. We'll see. And then in Tesla can't catch a break at Berlin news. So last week there was a fire at a trash compactor at the Giga Berlin. It was compressing some cardboard and then caught fire. And then the regulatory agencies and the people complaining about water and all of that stuff, all the people who made it hard to build Giga Berlin in the first place came roaring out of the woodwork. They were complaining that the chemicals that the fire department used to put out, like literally, like the fire department is their fault. The fire department used are getting close to the groundwater, and so now Tesla has to remediate that. They have to make sure that the runoff, which has not reached the groundwater, they have to make sure that it can't reach the groundwater, and also have to make sure that that some of the ponds that already were out there cannot be used anymore. So the fire didn't affect the main building. It's where packing materials and cardboard are recycled. But the problem is, allegedly, that Tesla did not have permission to operate a recycling facility on the grounds. Um, Critics are calling for Giga Berlin to stop production over concerns that the groundwater may have been polluted. Fire broke out early Monday in the northwest corner of Giga Berlin, and it was reported by the local publication that the tires on the recycling machine exploded, causing the fire to spread to nearby piles of cardboard and wood chips. His own fire department, along with 50 other firefighters from other nearby departments, handled the blaze, which was reportedly started in a cardboard press machine. Local officials estimated 800 cubic meters of water, or sorry, of paper, cardboard, and wood caught fire. And then update at 10:34. Unfortunately, we've learned from a source that some drive units that were being stored nearby were also damaged and destroyed in the fire. It's unclear yet how this will impact production, if at all. Well, I imagine that they'll have a handful less cars that could be built if they don't replace them. Initial reports from the district fire chief indicated the crews were able to contain the water used to extinguish the fire to the immediate area using a company to suck up the excess water and extinguishing foam in the paved area. So just like when the paint booth caught fire, and a whopping 2 liters of chemicals escaped the paint facility onto the paved parking lot, not into the groundwater, not into, open ground. 2 liters of chemicals from the paint plant after the fire department put it out was enough for them to want to shut down the entire operation. So I understand being gung ho about the environment and all that, but it seems that this group is overreacting. Can we get some of them over here in the US to, like, spread them out a little bit, like, mellow them out and get some work done? Because right now, they're just, like, not accomplishing anything useful, like, where are they at the combustion engine plants? Alright, so anyway, uh, the odor-free district later clarified that the water was not contained to the recycling area, all of which was paved. The crews needed to pull apart cardboard bales and move them to another area in order to extinguish them on an unpaved area. This could have resulted in some of the water and extinguishing foam getting into the ground and possibly entering the groundwater supply. So, unless they are drinking directly from this groundwater, I would say that the bigger problem is they don't have any filtering on their water. If this is the case, uh, therefore, it could not be completely avoided that the extinguishing water also got into the ground, says the spokesperson. As a result, the Citizens Initiative Grunheide is calling for a production stop while investigation is completed. That's always their answer. Shut it down. Shut it down. Our worst fears have come true. We demand a production stop until the causes and circumstances have been clarified and all safety measures in the water protection area have been implemented, says Stefan Short from BI, translated from German. The sky is falling. I mean, I understand this is not an optimal outcome, but let's get this in line with what happened here. Giga Berlin's operations would completely exhaust the region's water supplies is as a claim they made, which was later debunked, and they are also voicing their concern. Uh, well, what can be seen there clearly confirms that the extinguishing water seeps into the unpaved area in view of the fact that the groundwater is unprotected at this point, i.e., without a waterproof cover. We view this with great concern, says that other guy. I wonder what they'll say if they find an incendiary device. Uh, I doubt it's sabotage, but at the same time, you can't rule out sabotage. Remember, there was the group that tried to cut the power lines to save the cardboard forest and ended up setting the cardboard forest on fire. These eco nuts are just nuts. I think, yeah, they're being extremist. Like, there's no room for nuance with these people. And that might not be the last time we talk about the fire today either. We'll see what my notes say. Let's go to Florida. Solar roof stood up to Hurricane Ian with 155-mile-an-hour winds and a 10-foot storm surge. This power wall was underwater for hours and is still working perfectly. Now, folks pointed out that if this home was hit directly with the 155, the trees should be leafless. I don't know anything about that, but figured I'd point out that one little bit of it. But either way, look how high that floodwater was. Like, that is gross. Completely underwater. You don't want to listen to the keyboard? Fine. Come on. At least listen to the mouse. Okay. So there you can see the solar roof. Apparently it's missing a couple of like trim, or I don't think it's missing any tiles, but like you could tell it was hit. So they're going to repair that, and the power walls are going to need a good hosing off. But I mean, it looks good. Yeah, I don't think that tree would have stood up to 155 either. I agree. If you added a motor and go boating with it, though, I bet Elon Musk is onto something. um, did we talk about that last week, or was that this week? I think it was this week. Media won't care. Facts. Whoa. All right. Moving on. Maybe has appeared. Hello, Moto. Say hi. So the Canadian federal government is trying to convince Canadian pensions to finance construction of a dozen EV battery plants in the country. I mean, that just makes sense. Like, your country is full of raw materials for EV batteries. Why not make them there and just export them? It makes sense. You smell nice. Did you take a bath? Oh, you did? Okay. We have all the elements needed. This will create jobs and add value to our resources. Yeah. All right. Copy this one. Paste it in here. Dawood says, find out who made the complaint and you'll find the fire starter. Check the security videos for everyone wearing a BMW jacket. Yes. I mean, this isn't the first fire we've seen at Tesla or any other automaker. And I mean, last year or earlier this year, we saw one of the gigapresses catch fire at, was that Fremont or Berlin? If it's Berlin, I doubt it was Berlin, because if it was Berlin, we would never hear the end of it. It was either Fremont or Texas. And since Texas is on the inside, it would have to be Fremont, because on the Fremont they're outside. Yes, it was Fremont. Now you see how my crazy brain works. So Tesla raises supercharger prices in California. They did. They are also getting ready to raise them in Europe to match the rising electric rates there as well. Charging is still cheaper than paying for gas, but it's going to get pricey in some cases, which is nice that that the CCS adapter is available, because some places either still have free charging or their rates at certain times of the day are cheaper than what Tesla's charging. So there's that. Now, bring on my retrofit. Too bad they're wasting money on police instead of making the city more bicycle friendly. Now, obviously, some of our friends are police, so I'm not saying that they're useless. What I'm saying is that the what you should do is like this person said, make the city more bicycle friendly. Um, I like the I continue to refer back to that police chief who, when they said let's give him more money, he said, "What am I supposed to do for a cat in a tree? Shoot it?" And he wasn't exactly being facetious or exaggerating, but I mean, the fire department is the one with the ladders. So why would you send the police to go get a cat out of a tree? And he's right. Like, literally, the only tool they had that could do anything for the cat, other than calling the fire department themselves, they've got guns, so they could shoot the cat. So I like the way he put that. Copy the link to this and paste it in. And California City responds to rising bike and e-bike accidents. Carlsbad City is implementing infrastructure and driver education initiatives to make city streets safer for bicyclists. Well, that sounds like the opposite of what the guy said. Let's see, police. Ah, come on now. What's up with this keyboard? I know it works. There it is. Yeah, right there. Jumping back into the situation in Carlsbad, City Council recently approved the implementation of several traffic safety efforts, specifically directed towards making the city's roads safer for bicyclists and electric and otherwise. A budget of $2 million was set in place with a breakdown, including deploying additional police officers, holding training programs for law enforcement, and deploying speed limit signs and electronic messaging boards, uh, bolstering the city's safe driving education program. I mean, he's right. This should be passive. Like literally, it should be just impossible for the cars and the bikes to interact. You shouldn't need to rely on there being a policeman that's not too busy um, to do something about the people that are flaunting the laws. You don't want them to have to be there just for the cleanup and having to cite somebody for something catastrophic. And yeah, they keep talking about education and all that, but how about instead of educating and doing more police, you literally make it impossible for the cars to hit the bikes? Plenty of YouTube channels on that. Why do you smell so good? It looks like you're wearing the same thing you wore yesterday. Do you have two of these outfits? Say hi. Don't step on the keyboard. Why are you stepping on the keyboard? Yeah. Well, she clicked, but she made the screen refresh. Oh, next up, we've got another tweet. Smell lunch. All right, the Cadillac Lyric gets recalled for a touchscreen that goes blank. So I didn't know that the Lyric was on sale already. I knew it was coming up. Imminent, if you will. I thought it was a November thing. Oh, yeah? Yeah. Well, then what happened? Oh, who farted? Did you do that? He never says yes, but the smile says it all. Where are you going? All right, so fortunately, GM estimates that only 186 of the vehicles are affected by this issue, which requires a visit to the dealer to get fixed. So if they are on sale, then yeah, that's what's going to have to happen. But if they are getting ready for sale, like staging them all and getting them to the dealerships for the sale date, then they can just fix them before they go on to the customer. They already issued a stop sale order for its Cadillac's first EV. But I don't know you could call it that because they had the ELR, which was just like the Volt. It was a plug-in hybrid EV. And then they had some stuff in China, didn't they? So anyway, this is the first recall for the Lyric with for which customer deliveries. Oh, you headbutt started only recently, so they did start. Debut edition models only. Fortunately for Cadillac, there aren't that many Lyric SUVs on U.S. roads, as suggested by the recall that includes just 186 units. Yeah. The problem with the touchscreen was discovered by Cadillac employees on a Lyric awaiting delivery at General Motors factory in Spring Hill. After they noticed the blank display, the car maker investigated the problem and found that it happens when someone interrupts the screen's booting or shutdown sequence by opening a door while the vehicle is parked. Oh, that happens sometimes, though. You're loading the car up. If that happens, the screen can turn off. GM explained the recall notice affected the vehicles that are equipped with a defective display screen will only occasionally perform a boot up shutdown cycle when the vehicle is parked and powered off. And I bet you that the recall is going to say something about the reverse cameras. Unless it also includes the speedometer and all that too. It's a pretty car. Is this the charge port door? Looks like it. I wonder when Russell's daughter is picking hers up. It's a pretty car. I like it. Do I like, do I like it for me? I don't like it. What's up, Dawood? Look how little fanfare there was over this recall. Whereas if this was a Tesla, they'd be like, Tesla recalls 3 million vehicles for a software update that you don't have to bring it into the dealer. I love the interior of this thing. Look at that. What do you think, baby? You like it? Still too many knobs and switches and buttons for me, though. I like the way they've engineered this. Like you got the drop down buttons. It looks like it folds flat. Okay, near flat. There it is. One of those portable generators that Florida's going to need. Looks like a portable generator and charging station in one. Oh, you got some strength, baby. Punch me in the chin. Oh, headbutts. One more headbutts. Okay, that's enough of the lyric. Let's go down. If a vehicle door is open, the cycle can be interrupted. If it's interrupted during a specific 5-second time period, the display will go blank. If that happens and the driver operates the vehicle with a blank screen, the instrument panel or other FMVS features will not be available. VSS. GM opened an investigation on August 19th. See, this is what I'm talking about right here, where like you got Tesla and the others that are doing these quick responses. Last week we were talking about how somebody took a long time to get their recall out. Yeah, so there we go. Chevrolet and Texaco fuel stations will get free wire faster. Okay. I thought GM won't see them on dealer lots in customers' hands until later this year. That was what I thought. My Model 3 has done something similar a couple of times. You're wiggling? You're wiggling? Wiggle, 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 wiggle. You're obsessed with the red on the Coke can. Those are at dealerships waiting on delivery will, of course, be updated by the dealerships. Yeah. Autoblock says it'll be done via OTA. So again, you know, they don't happen on the same footing as they do with the Tesla recalls, where it's breathlessly, oh my goodness, it's terrible. The world is coming to an end. Let's copy the link. So Lordstown Motors kicks off the Endurance pickup production ahead of sales in Q4. Who is building these things? Because they don't have a factory anymore. Remember, I went past the factory on my South Dakota trip, and it was Foxconn. Oh yeah. After a tumultuous 4-year journey, they've announced they're finally reached a pivotal moment of an EV flagship lifecycle. They've built 2 of these. Whoever builds them built 2 of them. 2 betas have rolled off the assembly lines. Lordstown continue to take steps backwards. Yeah. Yeah, every time I saw of one driving, it was on fire shortly after. Chinese manufacturing expert Foxconn answered the call, and the sale was complete. Foxconn chairman also vowed that Lordstown Endurance deliveries would begin before year's end. Okay, so they're still building them there. They're just building them for them. You hungry? You want milk? Yes. Milk. Oh, my hand doesn't have milk in it. I don't have treats on my fingers. Well, sometimes I'll put treats on my fingers and she'll like eat them. I think she's teething. She just bites to mess up my finger. You blowing bubbles? I have my finger back. It's my mouse hand. Thank you. Is yours spit? All right. So they built 2 of the 500 in the first batch. Woo! I'm assuming the production one doesn't catch fire, so I wish them well. I mean, I think it's not a very attractive truck, and the price is too high, and I really didn't like their stunt with the politicians, the previous, executive team, but, like I keep saying, electrify all the things. So in this case, they're taking, Silverado frames and making them electric. Silverado glider frames, I guess. Ooh, I've got noodle soup. The Toyota president, Mr. Toyota, takes a dig at self-driving cars while criticizing the electric vehicle transition. This guy, man, I think, as conservative as they are, I think he will still manage to make them lose all their money and go out of business. Um, but he is family, so I don't know that they will be able to get rid of him. So Akito Toyota shared a subtle dig at self-driving cars during a meeting with the company's dealers. He argued that the electric vehicle transition will take longer than expected for them. All right, so here's the quote. Just like the fully autonomous cars that we were all supposed to be driving by now, battery electric vehicles are just going to take longer to become mainstream than the public, than the media would like us to believe, Toyota said during the meeting. Uh, this guy. How old is Mr. Toyota? Let me see. Toyota. He's 66 years old. So yeah, it's time for you to retire, guy. I know you like race cars and sporty cars and stuff, but you are driving your company into the ground. You could have taken your sizable lead with hybrids and transitioned to batteries so easily that like literally all you had to do was put in bigger batteries and drop the engine, and you were already there because your latest hybrids were able to run at highway speeds. The initial ones couldn't, but man. So, and they're still on that hydrogen scam. So let's see. Last August, Toyota announced that it would be increasing the investment in new battery plants in the U.S. from 1.29 billion to 3.8 billion, a decision that seemed partly influenced by the growing consumer demand for EVs. That being said, Toyota stood by the Japanese manufacturer's diversified strategy with its vehicle offerings, stating that playing to win means playing with all the cards in the deck, not just a select few. So that's our strategy, and we're sticking to it. The executive compared Toyota to a department store in the way that it sells a variety of cars to customers with varying needs. Okay, so all of that sounds good, but then every time you come out and you just take a big poop on EVs, it tells us what you really feel. What did Maya Angelou say? When somebody tells you who they are, believe them. Um, Toyota start to look more and more like a moron. He might become responsible for the possible downfall of Toyota. Yep, exactly. Another Nokia Kodak moment. Yeah, quite possibly. And Blockbuster and Radio Shack. And all the rest of the Japanese industry and Japan's overall economy. Well, you see, the thing is that Nissan and Mitsubishi and Mazda and all of them actually realize they need to go EV, and they're not sitting there trash talking them in public. Um, oh, Honda, yeah, Honda is too. But yeah, the Honda offerings aren't really compelling outside of Europe, but they aren't sitting there saying that electric is stupid. Whoa, where are you going, baby? Don't roll over backwards. Fatal flaw in his argument is the rise of BEVs coinciding with cheaper distributed energy. Regions with poor grids all over the planet can be served with microgrids. It takes time for a car company to create value chains. Toyota is guaranteed to lose market share if they're not aggressive. I can't believe Toyota doesn't see it. Toyota said 1 billion people worldwide still lack easy access to electricity. And I suppose gas delivery for those areas is easy as snapping your fingers. It is easier than, not to say reliable, but easier than running wire. But you still got to create it, ship it, deal with all that. You can't have that soup. It's too hot. Too hot for me to have. That's why it's sitting there. Microgrids make it possible to generate your own fuel. Exactly. Da, da, da. So this is inside EV's link. It's so dark over there. I'm missing a light. So what I'm gonna do? Oh, I see why. Somehow its power got tripped. Done. You can't eat my cord. I listened to it. All right, so Kia Niro gets 500 kilowatt hours free. We saw that. All right, so this one, I instead of copying Elon's tweet, I copied the link to the response to Elon's tweet. Here we go. She does that to her mom's hair. So the Washington State responds to Elon Musk's Tesla Cybertruck boat abilities with the teaser with serious warnings. So earlier this week, before AI Day, Elon decided he was going to make a tweet. He says Cybertruck will be waterproof enough to serve briefly as a boat, so it can cross rivers and lakes and even seas that aren't too choppy. It needs to get from Starbase to South Padre Island, which requires crossing the channel, which generated a lot of traffic in social media. And then the Washington State Department of Natural Resources, they responded with, "Our derelict vessel crews are begging you to understand that anything that serves briefly as a boat should not be used as a boat." So until we know more about these specs, I would lean on the side of the WS DNR because Elon's talked about this temporary boating capability on all of his cars in the past, except for the Roadster, and then they promptly void your warranty, and you get a flood car. But at the same time, we've seen people get out of flooded tunnels and cross small obstructions that they didn't have any other choice to get around. So let's do this. South Padre to Starbase. Let's do hold up on a map. So let's do South Padre, and then let's get some directions from Starbase. All right. Are you tired of standing? You sat back down? So I need to switch screen shares. All right, stop wiggling, baby. Tab. This one. All right, so presently to get from South Padre to Starbase, you take a little bit of a route. And what Elon is talking about is being able to cross the channel and go across this way. So that is no short, briefly distance by any means. We're talking, all right, so the drive is 51 minutes to get from there to there around. Or if you take the other way, it's 1 hour and 8 minutes. So is there a way to measure on Google Maps? All right, so this is a mile right here. That's at least, I'd say that's about 6 miles. That's about 6 miles right there. So that's more than briefly, but at the same time, so we see some specs and some safety equipment and some nautical lights and all of that, then I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes Elon says some stuff without without seeing if it should be said. This will be one of those cool things that, like, that they didn't say and then just said, "Oh, hey, look at this! I'm going to go from South Padre to Starbase," and just got in the truck, and then we just watched him in a drone. I don't know. Don't know. What do y'all think? All right, let's go back to. I guess we just keep using this tab. Let's unable to load the comments. Come on. Wow. Now they're unable to load the comments and the other article. But there was another article that was one I picked up for later. All right, so we talked about Lordstown. SpaceX signed an unfunded Space Act agreement Thursday to study the Mac is a lot more difficult to deal with managing window targets than PC. Study the feasibility of SpaceX and Polaris program idea to boost the space agency's Hubble Space Telescope into a higher orbit. So that's coming from NASA. So we know it's legit. Study the Hubble Space Telescope reboost possibility, which is really cool. I mean, because this Hubble is still, after all these decades, doing good science. It doesn't have to be replaced by James Webb. They can do work together. There are no plans for NASA to conduct or fund a servicing mission to complete the opportunity. The study is designed to help the agency understand the commercial possibilities. So, uh, Polaris and SpaceX are paying for this themselves. I bet the reboost will also be just kind of like a charity, like here this for the government, for the U.S. people. Um, expect to take 6 months collecting data from both Hubble and Dragon. Yeah, they're going to do it with Dragon of all things. Uh, I guess that's all that SpaceX really has on hand to deal with it. Whether it be possible to safely rendezvous, dock, and move the telescope into a more stable orbit. Remember, the space shuttle did this with the Canadarm. So unless they install a Canadarm on Dragon, they're probably going to have to make some sort of interface and just kind of just push it. Both, well, not just both, but all of the vehicles visiting the ISS are capable of helping it boost itself as well, either by just donating fuel or using their own engines. So Hubble is a lot smaller than ISS. All right, so as our fleet grows, we want to explore wide opportunities. Hubble's been operating since 1990, about 335 miles above the Earth, in an orbit that is slowly decaying over time. Reboosting Hubble into a higher, more stable orbit could add multiple years of operation to its life. I guess while they're up there, they can, if they're allowed to, because they could do a spacewalk and replace some more components. At the end of its lifetime, NASA plans to safely deorbit or dispose of Hubble. SpaceX and Polaris want to expand the boundaries of the current technology and explore how commercial partnerships can creatively solve challenging, complex problems. I like it. I mean, that thing's been up there a good chunk of my life, and I'd like to see it not wasted. I guess it's not a waste, but if there's still life left in it, just use it. I mean, it's been extended several times already. Saw this while walking home. Just wow. So this is a Model Y pulling a, I think it's a Rockwood Superlight. Which is cool and dangerous at the same time. Because this weighs more than 3,500 pounds, which is the tow rating of a Model Y. I think this particular model is actually heavier than the Model X is rated to tow. I'll have to take another look at it, but most of the dual axle models that I looked at were too heavy for Model X. Model Y is, and that Model S have a lower tow rating than Model X, and the Model X with the 22s has the same rating as these other cars. So yes, for the picture, it's kind of cool. No for the safety. And somebody else pointed out that his safety brake cable is dragging the ground. That model may be super light, but I can guarantee you it's over the Model Y's maximum tow rating. I can't tell you how long it is, but their absolute lightest weight model is just shy of 5,000 pounds with no cargo or water. And then they got into, being able to turn and stop and did physics lessons. So here's a link to that discussion. Learn you a thing or two. This one is fun. Weird Alibaba vehicle of the week: a $5,000, sorry, electric ice cream truck that will that you'll want to drive every day. Look at this tuk tuk. I love how he just photoshops himself in all over the place. Good old days of ice cream truck. All right. Not for me. I remember the ice cream truck. But of course, in New York, Mr. Softy was a whole nother deal. Like I didn't know until I left New York that ice cream trucks did not carry soft serve as a rule. Um, I'm so disappointed every time. Oh, you got to get the packaged stuff. Like if I knew that, I would have got more softies from Mr. Softy. Let's see. All right, so here's it in an actual photograph. Oh, okay. So the top pops up. So it has a little less aerodynamic drag, a little bit more protection from the elements for the ice cream. Cool thing about this ice cream trike is that it's basically a transformer. The back pops up when you're parked and starts slinging your frozen delights. Wow, it's got a 4 kilowatt motor. I believe aerodynamics is going to come into play. The last thing you want is a drippy ice cream cone, because you didn't plan for wind resistance. It's not terribly fast or powerful, but can smoke some of the other silly EVs we featured here before. This is true. It's not a family car. No stuff. Think of how cool it would be, or mortifying for your kid to get dropped off at school in an ice cream truck. Oh, yes. You can get your own reward structure built right into the vehicle. Thanks for picking me up from school. Can I have some ice cream? Sorry, Junior. Ice cream is for kids to get straight A's. The price of $6,600 and mere $5,800 if you buy 10 ice cream trucks. This isn't exactly an impulse purchase. Ah, cool. Is road legal in the U.S.? It's a good question. The ice cream shop at my golf cart friendly community is a tricked out golf cart ice cream truck. Neato. Yeah, the good humor trucks never had the softies, did they? Had a row of bells instead of the obnoxious music. I still like the new ice cream song that they made with on a blank. How can I be drawing a blank on that? But it got rid of the connotations of the popular ice cream song that aren't exactly inclusive of the American community. Yeah, we talked about that. All right, let's talk about some SpaceX. SpaceX donates Starlink terminals to Florida and repositions satellites following Hurricane Ian. What if that's why my because it used to say interruptions every minute, and now it says interruptions every 50 seconds. I'm wondering if the 50 seconds wasn't just because of the clouds and the rain. All right, so DeSantis announced that SpaceX was donating 100 terminals for use by first responders in communities cut off from existing communications and networks. In addition, in addition to the terminals, SpaceX also donated the costs associated with operations and access. Oh, cool. As well, Starlink has repositioned a few of its satellites to provide stronger coverage in the area. Okay. Due to extensive damage to the communications networks in the region, first responders have been dealing with spotty service in some areas during operations. The Starlink terminals will be able to support more than 1,000 users at once. Not each, but with this whole 100 dishes. It's not the first time SpaceX has provided SpaceX terminals to areas that have suffered natural disasters. This is true. And then we'll stay away from the politics of this governor person. And last week, I was concerned and confused about the flat mount that was on that cruise ship. Turns out that it was the SpaceX official flat mount, not that they, not that the cruise ship did something to the dishes to make them work. SpaceX unveils new flat mount high performance dish for maritime users. So basically, it's the same high performance dish that I have now and that they had pairs of before, but without the motors. So you don't have to worry about them kind of getting that wobbly neck as they are seated up higher from the center of gravity for the ship. So I have a 140-degree view of the sky, and they sit 8 degrees angled, I guess, to keep the rain off of the so the water rolls off and doesn't puddle up. They built the 1-minute dish. The name implies the new dish is flatter than the traditional Starlink dish. Low profile allows it to withstand much higher wind speeds, as high as 174 miles an hour or more. Okay, so that was the other benefit, is that it can handle a higher wind speed. Not only is the dish more rugged and can operate in temperatures as low as -30°C or 22 degrees Fahrenheit, and as high as 50°C, 122 degrees Fahrenheit, it can also achieve better speeds at high temperatures and can connect more satellites, SpaceX says on the product page. All right, so they've got a link to the product page here, which I'm going to go to because I think those are the same specs as the high performance dish that's not flat. I wonder if they have a comparison. All right, so what's in the box is all the same stuff as the current high performance dish. You get a Starlink. Oh, let's just bring this over for you guys to see. High performance dish, wedge mount kit, everything you need to connect the internet. And then this is when we were looking at these last week, and I was like, is that legit or did they do something? Because they do sell kits, not they SpaceX, but they people do sell kits to convert your V2 dishy, not the high performance one, but the regular size one, into a flat mount to put on an RV or van or truck or whatever. So let's paste and go here. Right, so in the box, you get your Starlink, your power supply, which is the PoE injector, PoE power supply mount kit, which is nice because this can be outside. It doesn't have to be inside. Mine's inside. You got your router, which is, as far as I can see, is the same as the regular V2 dish router. The router mount point. Okay, so you don't get that with the high performance dish or a router mount. Get a Starlink cable at 8 meters, Ethernet cable at 5 meters, router cable at 2 meters, and AC cable at 1.8 meters, and AC cable at 1.8 meters. So these are the two power cables, the one for the PoE injector and the one for the router. These cables are all shorter than what you get in the residential and business high performance kit. Let's see. Snow melt capacity is up to 75 millimeters an hour, 3 inches per hour. -30 to 50. Field of view is 140. Average power usage is 110 to 150. They say that, but I'm drawing 110 for both dishes. Both dishes in an ice maker. The wedge mount is included. 140 degrees. The Wi-Fi routers is the same one. It can be mesh or it can be the base point. To get power, and then you got the where the Starlink cable goes in. You got the power supply. It's the same power supply. Yep, you got the Starlink cable and the network cable. I didn't realize they had different ends on them. That's cool. So that's the high performance flat. Now let's look at the standard high performance. All right, so you get a Starlink, you get a base. So they don't get a base. Well, they do get a base. They get their wedge mount, a power supply, router. Yeah, 25-meter Starlink cable, 5-meter Ethernet cable, 2-meter router cable, and then the same 1.8-meter AC cables. So snow melt capacity is 75 millimeters per hour. Let me pull up that other one on a another window. All right, so snow melt, 75 millimeters per hour. Okay, I think it's the same dish with no motor. 110, 150, field of view 140. Yep, wedge mount versus the base mount. And obviously, because it's got the motors and everything, it's a little bit bigger. Let's see. So 41 millimeters thick for the motorless one, for the flat mount, versus it doesn't say how thick it is stowed. Well, it kind of does. 440 millimeters for the whole thing. That part is bigger because you got to hide the motors in there. All right, same modem, or sorry, router, and PoE injector. It's a lot shorter of a page, but that's kind of cool. So if you happen to have $10,000 to order a pair of these and $5,000 a month for the monthly service, for the not for the one on screen, but for the maritime model, have at it. All right, so we talked about the Rivian service vehicle last week, and Tesla already had another view of it. I guess they found another tweet. So here's the R1T and the R1, or the Rivian service van. Sorry, not R1S or R1V, but the Rivian service van. It's got a lot of roof space. I really want to buy one of these. It would be so fun. I think this is the shorter one too, isn't it? I don't know if it's the long one like Amazon has. Or is it the medium one? I don't know how many segments you get on each one with them. But they have 3 lengths, and Amazon isn't getting all of the lengths that they ordered at the moment. All right, so we saw this video last week, and then the system cut out on us. And then here's this other video from them. Our fleet of electric mobile service vehicles is expanding. We developed both the Rivian service van and the Rivian R1T side by side with our service technicians so they can handle up to 80% of the repairs right in your driveway. I think they said that the first one too. No, they did not actually say that in the first one. They said something different. Let's take a look at the video. Trunk's open. All the tools. So the van has more capability. There's the crane. Wow. I think that's the same van that Amazon's currently getting delivered as well. Good evening, Anders. There you go. Getting ready for bed, huh? All right, so let's see. Anything new that they told us other than the pictures? No. Rivian learned from Tesla's failure to use EVs for their mobile repair fleet. Yeah, because they were using Ford vans at first. Tesla didn't have an incentive to build a van when they started. I don't think it was a failure, just different priorities. Yes. But now nobody's going to be making fun of your Rivian getting serviced by a Ford Transit van. That happened to me regularly. Don't forget Amazon paid Rivian to make those vans. Tesla never got incentive to build vans. This is true. Now, when will I see one of these fixing my tonneau cover? I expect Tesla to do something like this, but Rivian actually did it. Tesla does use retrofitted Model S's, meeting customers at work. Yeah, they do now. Tesla doesn't have any suitable models that would fit a mobile workshop well. They've got the Model X, they've got the Model S, and they do it all the time. You can't fit one in the Model 3, that is true. And even Model X is not really fit for the purpose. They take the seats out, and then they they put in the racks. It's not as good as a straight up van would be, but they've got it. I am stuttering here. Let me reboot the camera. Let's see if I come in upside down. Yes, I do. Ah. Cybertruck is far more of an SUV than practical work truck, he says. I don't know. We'll see what it actually works with. Yeah, just most people arguing about trucks now. So let's move on. Stay on Rivian though. So Rivian's Georgia expansion plans are in jeopardy following a court ruling court ruling on state incentives. They'd already started work on their second manufacturing facility in Georgia, announcing earlier to spend as much as $5 billion on the new facility. And then the farmers started saying, "We don't want it. We don't know what it is, but we don't want it," because they were paid to do so or tricked into saying so. Because they knew what Rivian was, they'd be like, "Yeah, I like trucks. You gonna build it right here?" Yeah. The opponents of the deal brought the lawsuit said that the deal struck between local authorities and Rivian was not one that could be afforded such incentives, and as such should be subject to regular property taxes. The Superior Court's chief, Judge Brenda Holbert Trammell, agreed with the opponent, saying that in a ruling on Thursday that the local development authority failed to establish uh, that the credits are sound, feasible, and reasonable. Oh boy. Yeah, we need jobs. Let's chase them out. Yeah, because that'll do what we want. That'll get us jobs. Let's stay on Rivian some more. See if we can't bring this up. Rivian shares more details following on the Canadian rollout of Transport Canada certification. All right, so is this the same one we read just earlier? On track to begin this year. They're going to start in BC, and then they're going to expand to the rest of Canada starting next year. To support those first owners, Rivian says in an email that the Canadian Customer Engagement Center in Vancouver is now operational. Hey, you can go check it out. They revealed their building service centers in BC, Ontario, Quebec, Alberta, and in various stages of development in each province. They previously reported on their efforts to get Vancouver service up and running. They confirmed in the email that the Vancouver location will be the first to open, with other provinces opening next year. Customers waiting to get their first look at a Rivian vehicle in person, the company says they will be rolling out a demo drive program as well as hosting viewing events. Oh, that baby's happy. For the first of which will be held in Vancouver area towards the end of October and early November. What are you doing, baby? You eat? She's just playing. She's usually that excited about food. like baby food. Luna will steam up some vegetables. She doesn't like fruits. She'll steam up some vegetables and blend them, and then she'll eat them. All right. So the Foschini Group is going to install 307 Tesla Powerwall outlets in South Africa to combat load shedding. And my concern is, with all these projects that we keep seeing now, they're using hundreds of power walls. Why did you cancel the power packs? I can understand just like slowing them way down, but like the power pack would be the perfect product for this. If it's less than a mega pack, put a couple power packs out. Anyway, so they 307 power walls. They need the batteries to prevent load shedding. It's ground operation in South Africa. They now power 43 stores. Oh, well, that makes sense. If they're not all in the same place, then that makes some sense. Like we saw with that apartment building where they weren't all in the same place. They own Jet at home and other stores, and they placed an order for 227 power walls in July to be deployed with 130 top performing outlets. Okay, that's fair. It's like 2 or so per store. They ordered 80 power walls the following month to cover the other 68 other stores. Okay. Okay, I thought it was the way that skimmed the tweet and the initial announcement of this, it was that I thought they were being deployed in one place where you should have used a mega pack or a bunch of power packs. All right, so we talked about the controversy at Giga Berlin and the fire. Now let's see what Tesla has to say for themselves. All right, so after a few days of silence, Tesla employees spoke openly and shared more details. Marlene Menert attended a local council meeting to provide an update and answer questions. They provided details about the recent fire incident, including confirming that Tesla was working with local authorities, as if they have a choice. Fire broke out at a paper shredder and pressed roller near a small recycling facility in the storage yard. The equipment was not operated by Tesla, but rather by a third-party recycling company. There you go. So whoever said Tesla can't operate a recycling facility, they didn't. But it was there and it was running. Officials have noted that the recycling company lacked an approved permit to operate, though. Menert did not detail those matters and noted that those are questions are legal issues. Yeah, especially if it's not your company. He also confirmed that Tesla removed 50 centimeters of soil affected during the firefighting efforts. Dang, that's a lot of soil. Currently, the affected area is covered by tarps until investigations are completed. Samples from the affected soil have been sent for testing, and the company expects results by mid-October. Even with the information shared at the meeting, Giga Berlin critics are demanding a stop to production until the investigation is over. Of course, their solution is always no more Teslas. However, there's no indication that the district or council is even considering a shutdown of the facility. Yeah, because they're not stupid. They get tax money from this. Come on now. Like like I said, these. I understand being eco-friendly, but you don't need to be an eco-zealot. BYD announces European pre-sales pricing and starts below 40,000 euros. Not bad. Although only one of them does. 72,000 euros, 72,000 euros for a, is that a crossover or a station wagon? And then a sedan, a saloon in the States. and then they got a hatchback, 38,000 euros. Not bad. All right, so the Atto 3, the Tang SUV, and the Han sedan. The Atto 3 starts at 38,000 euros. The Tang and the Han start at double that. These prices are for German market and vary from country to country, which makes sense. You got to ship them and get them in compliance. Neato. All right, so we talked about the Elon as a boat situation. Talked about the Cadillac Lyric stop sale. Nueces County is to vote to create a TIRZ for Tesla's proposed lithium refinery in Texas. So this is a special tax status. Tax increment reinvestment zone is an area of the county where Tesla is proposing to develop a lithium refinery. Bring jobs to your area. We'll see what happens. Tesla is seeking up to 16.2 million in tax breaks over 10 years. That's not a lot. So I would say that's probably reasonable. It's not like they're asking to be completely tax free for 25 years. And then when 25 years is up, they just leave. All right, so Tesla updates the supercharger fees in California with more time of use tiers. I think we talked about this earlier, sort of. On the previous time of use, peak hours were overnight from 9 to 11 in the morning, 9 p.m. to 11 the next morning. With the changes, there are now as many as 4 different time of use tiers. For example, Calabasas is now peak hours is most of the day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., during which owners are billed at 65 cents per kilowatt hour. Gracious. That's an increase from the previous rate of 58 cents per kilowatt hour, which is already high. Let's take a look. 20 stalls at 250. Say 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. is just 21 cents per kilowatt hour. And 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. is 36 cents per kilowatt hour. Okay, so you don't have to get up crazy early. And 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., good gracious, 65 cents per kilowatt hour. And 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. is just 47 cents per kilowatt hour. So this probably more reflects what they actually have to pay. Same at Santa Barbara, which now has 4 tiers. These guys have also 4. However, the peak rate hours is from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. has dropped from 58 cents to 53 cents per kilowatt hour. Okay. So they saw a price drop. I guess knowing the distance to each supercharger could hone you in on where they are. So they blanked it out. Anyway, 12 a.m. to 4 a.m., 4 a.m. to 8 a.m., 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. So it's got different times as well. So you need to look at these, look at the dots before you go charging to get your price. Here's a full copy of the email. Tesla to me. Starting Wednesday, September 28th, charging rates and off-peak hours. It's like superchargers. Avoid the rush and save on charging costs when you begin your charging session during off-peak hours. Tap the supercharger map pins in your vehicle touchscreen to view rates. Yep. And there's more, but I still have them in the phone. So I'll pull out the juicy bits and we'll talk about them next week or on the Tesla Life Show or What Drives Us. And thank you to all the channel members and patrons, and we'll catch you on the flip side.